Wondered why Erling Haaland scores a hat-trick instead of just 3 goals? Why Darwin Núñez is said to have missed a sitter rather than just missing a really easy shot? Or why on earth defenders are said to park the bus? Let's break down some of our favourite football cliches. First, let's talk hat-tricks. The term comes from cricket back in the 1800s. Any bowler who managed to get 3 successive wickets used to be rewarded with a hat from their club. Next up, if you see a skillful tackle, an athletic save or a 40-yard screamer, you might say these things are out the top drawer. That's because back in Victorian times, if you had wealth, valuable stuff, you kept it in the top drawer of your dresser, so loaded families became known as top drawer. Remember the last time your team left you feeling as sick as a parrot? The image of the sick bird is thought to come from a classic British comedy moment, Monty Python's Dead Parrot sketch, but the phrase was first used in football by Liverpool defender Phil Thompson. He supposedly said it after Liverpool lost to Nottingham Forest in the 1978 League Cup final. Forest won thanks to a controversial penalty given away by a Thompson foul, even though it was actually outside the box. Poor guy said he felt sick as a parrot afterwards. Is there anything more embarrassing than a nutmeg in football? Weird name, but it's actually related to the trading of nutmeg, the spice. It was so expensive back in the day that corrupt exporters used to try and mix in a bit of wood in with the nutmeg to cut their costs. The term soon became slang. If you were nutmegged, it was because the person you were buying off had pulled a fast one on you. Jose Mourinho brought a lot of things to English football, and seems like one of those was the phrase "park the bus." He used it after his Chelsea side had been held to a goalless draw by Spurs in 2004. Tottenham had been extremely defensive, not trying to score, but making sure Chelsea couldn't either. Mourinho actually said, "They brought the bus and left."
Good morning, everybody. It's Monday morning. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown. We're live on talkSPORT. So Manchester City ease past United 3-0. Is Amorim opting to stay wedded to what is now a failing philosophy? Meantime, is it unimaginative for Sheffield United to keep going back to Chris Wilder? Also today, why do Aston Villa look an absolute shadow of themselves? Is Crawford the modern day GOAT? Can the 49ers keep resisting fan sentiment over Russell Martin? Will depth take Arsenal to the title? And following yesterday's very sad news, we'll be reflecting on the passing of former world champion Ricky Hatton. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown, and we're all live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Well, good morning, everybody. I have to say, I came in this... Martin, good morning.
Good morning.
Arsenal Invincible, Martin Keown. Simon, how are you, mate?
Very well, thank you.
Yep, I came in this morning, as always, looking forward to my little pre-programme meeting with producer Luke. And I get in the lift on the ground floor, press 17. You know how it works, Simon. And I'm out at the 14th. I get out at the 14th, it takes me down to ground.
Oh.
I get another one, it takes me up to the 8th. I'm back down to ground, and now I'm up on the 17th floor. I'm not sure what's going on.
Do you think technology is challenging you at this stage in your life?
Yes, I do.
You knew it was going to be one of those Monday mornings, didn't you?
It's already been a bit of an up and down day, you know where I'm going.
Yes.
Mr. Keown, good morning. Back in your old stomping ground at the weekend. I saw you doing the Arsenal game on Saturday. A nice reception, no doubt, from the ones who love you.
Lovely. I'm surprised they still remember me after all these years. But
of course they do.
Do you know what was interesting watching that team? 5 changes from what we saw last year, the regular lineup for Arsenal. Showed a real strength of their squad. Was Maduaki and Eze playing really outstanding football, Jim. So, yeah, very hopeful for the season for Arsenal.
Good. We go into another morning off the back of another weekend when Manchester United ended up losing. It's my understanding, Simon, that for the time being, Ruben Amorim retains the backing of the United board. I've just been sent a message on that one. Does that surprise you? Or do you think the clock's ticking?
No, I don't think that anybody going into this game would have expected Manchester United to have won it, because they're not in that place at this moment in time. Whilst Man City is still going for a rebuild, they are an infinitely better team than Man United are right now. So in isolation, I don't think you take him out of the job because he gets beat by Man City. You consider your position. I mean, we are now coming up to the point where the fella's been in situ for nearly a year, and it is staggering, really. I mean, I know that we'll talk about the idea that systems are being deployed are making the difference, and so I don't agree with that. I think perhaps the players that have been bought and the players that are out in the field aren't good enough to play in any bloody system. But also, to some extent, the manager has to take a huge amount of responsibility for sitting in a place where you've made things worse. Now, if he thinks things are getting better and he can see the changes and that eventually he's going to land on solid ground, then fair play to him and fair play to the board supporting him in that vision.
Yeah.
But these are hard moments for United, because if the fans are supporting Amorim, I'd like to know why. And not because I don't want him to be supported, but because in this world where people do not get supported, Russell Martin's walked into Glasgow Rangers, had 7 or 8 games, they want him out.
Yeah.
The United guys, he seems to be getting a pass.
Yes.
Goes past Co, collects 200 quid, goes round again.
Very keen to get your views on that, Martin, later on this morning. And we will get into it. No doubt we'll be joined by Manchester United fans later on this morning. Talk about hard moments. When the news came my way yesterday, it really hit me hard. Ricky Hatton dying over the weekend. Very sad news. Tributes have been pouring in the last 24 hours following the death of former world champion boxer Ricky Hatton at the age of 46. A Greater Manchester police spokesman said yesterday officers were called by a member of the public to attend the Bull Acre Road, Hyde, Tameside at 6:45 a.m. This was yesterday morning, where they found the body of a 46-year-old man. There are not currently believed to be any suspicious circumstances. Ricky Hatton, what a boxer, what a man. He won 45 of his 48 professional bouts across a 15-year career. And here at talkSPORT, tributes continue to flood in.
I've always wanted to be entertainment, put a show on for my fans.
A genuine, true working class, hero, an English warrior, and it's just sad, so sad.
Ricky was a great fighter, that had a 15-year career, over 48 fights. No one had the fan base that Ricky Hatton had.
Sometimes when boxers do hit the high notes and become world champions and make millions, they kind of separate themselves from the working class, and Ricky never did that.
He was such a nice bloke outside the ring. Everybody, they just loved him. He was a man of the people, Ricky. That's what he was.
The greatest achievement was always the fan base, it doesn't matter how much money you've put in the bank or how many belts you have in the trophy cabinet.
Not only did I meet him in 2007 when I went out to Vegas, after the fight, we were in a different hotel, it wasn't the MGM, and we went to play blackjack, and he rocked up and he just sat beside us, battered and bruised, and we all started a rendition of There's Only One Ricky Hatton.
Ricky Hatton, who has died at the age of 46. Many people getting in touch. Many people no doubt will want to get in touch with this show this morning because it was this incredible travelling support, Simon, that he had. They followed him everywhere, didn't they? How do you look back at the man, the boxer, his legacy? Where do you start?
Well, I mean, I did an upfront episode with him a couple of years ago. Spent 2 or 3 hours with him. We sat next to him at the Joe Joyce, Daniel Dubois fight during COVID.
Yeah.
We've had him in studios. I met his father. One of his very closest friends, Dermot Craven, who was a friend of mine in Marbella, was very close to his father. watched his career. I went to see him fight Benteke when he fought Benteke, when he really established his credentials, and went to watch him fight Costa Zoo. And you saw it go to liftoff and the enormous outpourings of absolute adoration. You watched him fight. I mean, I remember renting a theatre in Leicester Square for my friends, watching him fight Floyd Mayweather. And seeing the absolute Floyd Mayweather turning up in a Man United shirt just to antagonise him in the weigh-in and the press build-ups, and the absolute wave of support from I don't think they were quite prepared for it. I also saw him do stand-up nights in Marbella, where Ricky had packed in boxing, and he was doing touring, and he was going out on stage, and there was a feel of Jake LaMotta about him. I always felt there was an element of sadness about Ricky. He was a remarkable fighter, a remarkable fighter. And achieved wonderful things, only losing to a couple of great fighters. Lost 3 fights, but 2 of them were sort of the greatest fighters of their era, Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. So it's a terrible tragedy. I woke up in Spain, after watching, staying up all night to watch Crawford versus
you
Canelo.
were in Spain at the weekend.
Yeah, woke up and watched that.
Yeah.
And then this news came through, and I just felt such a young age, and and any death is a sadness, and I'm very fearful of how he may have died, but notwithstanding that, I'm very sad, and a great loss to boxing, a great loss to his family, his young son Campbell, and his career that's just tailed off in boxing, and his family must be in pieces. So it's a sad loss, And ultimately, he was coming back and fighting, wasn't he? He was coming back to fight at December.
Well, he was. You're right, Simon. He was due to fight Issa Alda at middleweight on December the 2nd in Dubai. I mean, it takes an awful lot when everybody, Martin, when they're paying tribute, says this fella was just a breath of fresh air. He was a wonderful individual, humble,
totally adored by the fans, supporters. He used to really get stuck into his job. I mean, obviously, condolences echoing what Simon's saying with his family. Massive shock for them. He's a hero, obviously, not just in Manchester, within his own family. Simon, just a question to you. It seems I've just been looking through and other boxers who have suffered with bouts of depression, difficulties. When you had him in this stand-up chat, did you sense that he wasn't dealing comfortably?
No, when he did up front about 18 months ago, when I saw him a few times out in Marbella, and I saw him in Manchester, and he wasn't in the greatest of condition. When I saw him doing the up front, he was together, and he seemed happy and focused, and watching his son and watching his life develop in front of me, and he seemed very balanced. But we don't know what's transpired, but what we do know is you've lost. He is one of the greatest British fighters that we've had, and he brought a generation of fans along with him that they've never seen before. I went to watch Lennox Lewis all around the world, and he had great support. This kid had support like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
And the challenge, Ricky never left behind, and it's a strength and a weakness. We all come from somewhere, and we must never forget our roots. But when you move up and you become a world champion, an internationally recognised superstar, and you've got all the economics that go with it, there is a change of gear and a change of pace. And he never moved past that away from his friends, which is no criticism there, but that creates a narrative of its own in terms of the relationship he had with people that he grew up with and dynamics of that. But as a boxer, I listened to Frank speaking about him yesterday, and listened to other people speaking about him.
Yeah,
he was a remarkable talent. And his life felt to me at times like it was quite sad in certain respects. But I think boxing's a very, like so many things, when the light gets turned down, it's a very challenging period for people that have been so used to being adored.
Perhaps he never got over the Mayweather defeat, was maybe never quite the same again.
Well, I think the Pacquiao defeat might have been more jarring for him, because Mayweather was such a fighter, and he was in that fight. He was never in the Pacquiao fight, really.
Yeah. Put it out there this morning, actually. We'll continue to pay tribute to Ricky this morning on the show. Were you one of the many thousands who followed Ricky Hatton, as Simon has so expertly described, this huge army of fans who followed Ricky Hatton here, there and everywhere? At the weigh-in, I remember the weigh-in before he fought Mayweather, and the stare down that lasted minutes upon minutes on end, and Hatton's fans were all there in fine voice. Were you one of them? How are you coping with the news, obviously, that's sinking in now, following the weekend's news, that Ricky Hatton had passed? You might want to give us a call, 03717 223344 810 89. We're on talkSPORT. We're with you till 1. Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown. Good morning, everybody. Monday, September the 15th. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan. You can pick us up everywhere these days. So many of you over the weekend coming up to me in the streets and telling me you enjoy watching the show as well as listening to it. And that is great. We're on Prime Video, Samsung, Apple TV, Google TV. Whatever you're watching, we are there. We're live on talkSPORT this morning. And sadly, the topic is a really sad one, an unhappy one. Ricky Hatton, who died over the weekend, aged 46. As you find with the boxing fraternity, whenever we speak to someone in the world of boxing, we inevitably end up in a gym. And that is where we find this morning one-time fighter, now turned trainer, Paul Smith. Paul joins us live on the show this morning. Simon's with me, so too is Martin Keown. Paul, good morning. I know, mate, you were close to Ricky, and this is going to be tough for you. How hard were you hit by the news over the weekend?
Morning, gents. Hard, tough. I got a phone call. One of my mates who's literally just walked to me now. It's that to about Ricky, and stayed away, my stomach turned, and as horrible as it sounds, I sort of knew what he was going to say. And I waited, and then I checked straight away and seen that verified sources were putting it out there, and just like that, and the missus come upstairs and asked me what was going on, and then explained to her, and she knew how close we were and the lads were. Like when I first started going to that it was with Billy Graham, and a big part of why I went with Billy Graham was not because he was a fantastic coach, it was because obviously Ricky was in the gym, and Ricky's brain was so good. We've just been having a conversation with my brother Callum on the other side of the ring, talking about Ricky, how good the coach he was, and just how much he knew boxing inside out. But yeah, it was devastating to be honest with you, Jim, to find out. You know, he was a friend. There were so many memories with him.
Paul, Simon and I were just talking there that we were obviously Simon met him more than me, met on more occasions than me. But I can honestly say I didn't really know him that well, even though I'd met him on a number of occasions. But you're an exception to that. You did know him and you got close to him. How did you find him?
First day I got to the gym was in the old gym, in the Louverlight gym up in Ashton, just the other side of, well, just before Ashton. And he turns up in a Jag. He has a sponsored Jaguar at the time, and he's got out the car, put his bag on his back, and I obviously knew him. I went to the Eamon McGee fight just before I turned pro there. So his last fight before I was after him was Eamon McGee, and then the next fight was Vince Phillips, which I named the debut on. He come right over to me, said, "Paul, isn't it?" He said, "I've heard a lot about you, mate. Looking forward to working with you. If you ever need anything, give me a shout." And shook me hand and give me over and broke in the gym. Like that alone, that's like he was the best fighter. One of the best fighters who wasn't a world champion in the country at that time. We knew what he was doing with the MMA. He was just starting to make it a home for himself. He was just starting to sell, 15,000 tickets, 10, 15,000 even there on his fight. And he was becoming a big thing and a big deal that he could fight. And obviously I knew how well he could fight from the amateur days. I watched him in Everton Park in the ABAs in Liverpool. But just to go out of his way and make you feel welcome was enough for me on the first day. But we used to spar each other a lot. He used me and Matthew Macklin a lot for sparring because we were like middleweights and a couple of weights above him, but he had the experience which even the spars out, and he got good sparring out for the pair of us, I'd like to think. And I've got some funny stories about the sparring as well, obviously, which was really good and helped us and obviously helped him along the way because he needed good training camps. But I've never seen anyone as dedicated as him in the gym, trains as hard as him. And unfortunately for Ricky, after time, he lived as hard just outside the ring.
I mean, Paul, you did the hard stuff. You fought. You were a fighter. So, I mean, obviously, you, more than us, totally eligible to talk about this. How good was he? When you watched him, what did you see?
Again, I was lucky. I got to spend time with him in the gym. I got to see him every day. I got to listen to I got to listen to how he saw boxing, if that makes sense. I got to understand how he's seen it and how he expressed himself through boxing. How he was such a nice lad outside the ring, but in the ring he was a vicious animal, and he wanted to hurt you. And if he could hit you to the body, he would. And I remember he had a media day. He caught me with a body shot one time in sparring, and I had to take a knee. And he was like, good shot. And we were having our dinner after it in the gym cafe. And he said, "You're a tough stud so and so, Paul." He said, "Hey, with a body shot." And he stood back and said, "Good shot." He said, "But then you breathed in, didn't you?" And I started laughing. We were both laughing. I went, "Yeah, it felt like someone stabbed me then." You know, it felt like, you know, and then I caught him on a media day with a body shot, and he's turned away, and the gym was full of press. I was fighting in his undercard, and in the panic, thinking that could be my fight on as well. And about 7 months later, he caught me with another body shot, and I'm about to turn, just he's done me. And he went, "That's 2-1, you scouts," and shouted something more. So he's obviously remembered it, and we're friends, you know, we're good friends. And he was just very competitive and gave 100% in everything he did. So when he was in camp, he wouldn't touch a sweet, a drink, a biscuit, a fried fatty food, nothing at all. He lived religiously. And then when he fought, he probably felt like he'd earned it. So the old way we did it back then, all the way he certainly did it. And me at the start was, well, you've had your camp now, you've had your fight, go and enjoy yourself and let your body rest a little bit. But he took it to extremes, didn't he? And I used to talk about it and wonder whether if he'd have just lived the life outside the ring a bit more, he may have got more fighting and being a bit better for himself in the later years.
Paul, I mean, how difficult? I mean, I know you're working on creating a union to be able to support fighters and look after them when they finish their careers. I mean, I saw Ricky many times after his career finished, going through different phases of his life, whether he was doing stand-up acts and comedy and amusing people on a stage, or being slightly challenged by circumstances. How difficult is it? Because, you know, there was obviously people were worried about how he passed away. Losing someone is terrible in and of itself. But how difficult is it for a fighter to contend with no longer fighting anymore and the lights going down and people perhaps not being as engaged with you as they once were?
It's a good question, Sam. I used to look at people like Joe Kazagi, like greats, the unbelievable fighters, the greats of this country, lovely people, good fighters. You'd see that some of them would get depression. I used to think, like, how are they getting depression? He had an unbelievable career. And then I retired and I realised what it was. And I heard Natasha Jonas say this. It was the first time I did it. And I'm surprised it was the first time I did it, but he's a great trainer. The athlete died twice. And it made so much sense to me when I heard it, because when I retired, I got a bit of depression. I went into a low state. And I remembered when I got it then, thinking I probably had this when I lost to George Rose and had a big operation on my hand, and I just felt so down. This was the same feeling, but obviously you don't address it when you're fighting, because when you're fighting, you've got to just be tunnel vision and there's no weaknesses and crack on and get stuck in. But it does hit you hard, and it's people bumping into you like, "Oh, what are you up to now?" It's like, not I'm retired, but you're 33, 34, and it is tough now with the union and with other things. And I definitely don't want to use this as an example of trying to get any points whatsoever for the union, but it could be done with the Boxing Board of Control. It could be done with anyone. Boxers could have access to free counselling or a free sort of pathway into counselling for a bit of therapy, just to unload and let a bit off your chest to someone who isn't going to judge you or answer back too much. Someone who's fully qualified to guide you the right way, who can spot the signs also of what may come later down the line if this goes untreated or unaddressed. And there has to be facilities in place for boxers and combat sports people and fighters, because at the minute it's just like the old sort of adage of it, and the old what people assume is you're just used up and thrown on the pile and forgotten about. And no matter how well you do, Ricky did very well out of boxing. He had a phenomenal career, and he's he's someone that I looked up to, and many fighters across the country looked up to. And you can see the tributes today from people like Jamie Moore, Manchester fighters, saying, like, you paved the way for us. And he certainly did. He absolutely did. But every one of them people, including myself, were there to help Ricky, but he probably just didn't want that help. And when you get stuck in a rut and the alcohol and everything else starts, and then the lifestyle, he probably loved the pats on the back, which was everyone does, and he got it everywhere he went. But ultimately, you know, it's just such a sad story that someone like him can end this way and finish this way, you know.
Paul, I want to thank you for your time this morning.
Thanks
no
a
doubt
lot, lad.
You'll get back to work in the gym there. Thank you for joining us, former fighter turned trainer Paul Smith, joining us this morning on the death, the sad news over the weekend about Ricky Hatton, who has died at the age of 46. As I say, maybe many of you listening this morning, no doubt, decided to follow Ricky on his travels when he was fighting, and by God, what a fighter he was. And of course, over there, he had an enormous following over in the US. Many fans here followed him out there when he took on Mayweather and Pacquiao and the rest. And that phenomenal victory over Costa Tszyu. Who can ever forget that? Title wins over Tszyu and Jose Luis Castillo. Were you one of those who followed him? Did you dedicate time and effort to following Ricky Hatton? And how do you feel about the news of his passing at 46? Give us a call if you wish. 03717 223344.
Who would have thought a sporting event's halftime show could have a bigger impact than the game itself? That seems to be the case with the Super Bowl halftime show. In 2024, Usher brought in an audience of 180 million worldwide, the biggest in the event's history. But how did singing and dancing get to be the centrepiece of America's biggest sporting event? The first Super Bowl was held in 1967. Initially, the halftime show was a display purely for the fans in the stadium, with marching bands, dancers, and American patriotism for all to see. And that's what it was for the first few years. Disney had a go with a few questionable displays in the 1980s, but it wasn't until '93 that we got the first glimpse into the future of halftime shows. Michael Jackson's stellar performance gave NFL execs something to think about. A raft of massive names followed, including Diana Ross, U2, Janet Jackson, who gave us the most famous or infamous wardrobe malfunction of all time. So how many people are involved? To give you an idea of the scale, Rihanna's 2023 performance included 800 people, and experts reckon it cost $13 million. What's even more impressive than some of the names on the bill every year is the fact they do it for free. The artists know the exposure they'll get from doing the show will rocket them up the charts across the world. The Super Bowl halftime show will be a fixture in pop culture for years to come. So the question is, who next?
Good morning, everybody. Monday morning, just gone 10:30. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, Martin Keown, Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown in studio with us this morning. Martin, I had a taxi driver stop me in the street at a set of lights yesterday and told me, "Is Mr. Keown on tomorrow? I'm a huge fan." There you go. And then he drove off, happy in the knowledge that I said you were going to be joining us. We are talking about Ricky Hatton and the sad news over the weekend that Ricky Hatton had died at the age of 46. And many of you getting in touch with your own stories as to why you chose to follow Ricky and how hard this news has hit you. 03717 223344. We heard from former fighter turned trainer Paul Smith just moments ago. Martin, can I ask you, for top pros like yourself who played the game at the highest level, does it hit home when you suddenly call time in your career and that adulation you were used to suddenly goes and you've got to go on with life?
It's probably the biggest game of your life when the actual last game you play in is finished, because, you know, suddenly there's that quietness and that loneliness, and you've been a part of something that's successful. You're on a mission, that sense of purpose, there's an adulation from the fans, and then you're all on your own. And it's like, you know, I think the feeling is like, whatever you do, you know, I always say, don't forget to enjoy it. Do it because it gives you a joy. I'm sat here this morning because I enjoy doing the radio, Jim. I keep myself busy. I get into projects. I can't be sitting around watching what I do. I've still got that energy. Live your life, you know, because you're only young men really when you're coming out. If someone had said that to me, I might well have done a bit of management or whatever. I had restrictions. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But I would say just enjoy it and try and stay on that middle road in life. You know, there's lots of distractions. Try and create that stability. And that's what I try to maintain. I don't think it's an easy road, but, you know, we need to keep fit. We need to keep healthy. But I think, you know, enjoy what you do is the most important thing, really.
Such a good point, isn't it, Simon? Yeah. I mean, things don't always go well for you in life. No. And at certain key moments.
But it's about the framework you've got around you. If you've got a very stable and substantial life outside of football, in terms of you're married, you've got children, you've got greater responsibilities, it anchors you, it gives you value, it gives you perspective. If you don't have those things, then you come out of a superstar environment where you are adored and worshipped and the lights are turned on. You hear it all the time. You hear about rock stars. I mean, I remember listening to Robbie Williams talking about being on a stage and, you know, and the highs of being on a stage and then going back to a hotel room in the middle of nowhere and finding yourself needing some other kind of stimulation to keep yourself in focus with what you've just been experiencing.
Yeah.
So if it is something that people say, oh, you unique sportsman, you lovely, your financial future is settled, your lives are based upon opportunity, and yet you're whining about the fact that the lights have gone down. Well, you don't know what you're talking about, because there is a real challenge.
You have to accept change as well, Simon. That will come. Obviously, you prepare yourself for change. Yesterday I'm not going to throw my religion at people, but I went to church yesterday, went to mass. Afterwards, I was out for a breakfast with my 2 grandchildren, my wife, their partners, my 2 sons. Fantastic, total enjoyment out of doing that. Before, 20 years ago, it was, I can't wait to get into Manchester United. So we have to change, and we have to go with the change and accept the change. And that's what's difficult for a lot of sports.
Talking about Manchester United, Wayne Rooney, devastated, a legend, a warrior, and a great person. Thoughts are with all Ricky's family, says Wayne, who, of course, himself was a big boxing fan, and as we hear there, a big fan of Ricky Hatton. We have a statement just in, I think, in the last few moments, from the Hatton family. It is with the heaviest of hearts that we announce the passing of our beloved son, Richard. Richard was so much more than a world champion. To us, he was simply Richard, our son. A loving father, grandfather, and brother, and a true friend to many. He had a heart as big as his smile, and his kindness, humour, and loyalty touched everyone who was lucky enough to know him. To the wider world, Richard will always be remembered as one of boxing's greatest champions, a man who gave everything inside the ring and wore his heart on his sleeve outside of it. He inspired generations with his fighting spirit, his humility, and his love for the sport. But beyond the titles, the nights to remember, and the roar of the crowd, he remained the same down-to-earth Richard, who never forgot where he came from. As a family, our loss is immeasurable, and words can't truly capture the pain we feel. Yet in the midst of our grief, we've been deeply moved by the overwhelming outpouring of love and support. It has been a source of great comfort to see just how many lives Richard touched and how widely he was admired and respected. At this time, we kindly ask for privacy as we come to terms with life without him. In the days and weeks ahead, we will take strength from one another and from the knowledge that Richard's legacy, both in boxing and as a man, will continue to live on. Richard's memory will forever remain in our hearts, in the hearts of his fans, and in the sport he loved so dearly. With love and gratitude, the Hatton family. So that just into us here at talkSPORT. And many of you want to join Simon and myself and Martin on the show this morning and pay tribute yourselves. And we're delighted that you want to do that. So let's start with Greg, who's a Chelsea fan and no doubt a boxing fan, no doubt a Hatton fan. Greg, good morning. What would you like to say?
Yeah, morning, gents. Great show as always.
Thanks.
Yeah, that statement's just done me. That has. I'm a big boxing fan. Ever since my dad took me to my first fight, which was Marvin Hagler against Alan Minter. I followed a lot of boxing over the years, and it was on my bucket list to go to a big fight in Vegas. And the first one I went to with some friends was the Ricky Hatton and Mayweather one. I couldn't have picked a better one. And it was that good. I went to his next 2 fights in Vegas, the Pacquiao and Malignaggi fights as well. But the support that he generated and the experience was just fantastic. I mean, as Brits, we all love someone who puts effort in and a winner and a true Brit. And he just was just at the top of the pile when it came to, just the way he just galvanised everybody, put the effort in. And he was just a great fighter to watch. And yeah, so great experiences of following him in Vegas. You were talking about the weigh-in earlier. That was just unbelievable. I've been to a few weigh-ins over the years.
Yeah.
But that one was like going to a fight in itself. Yeah, so
was, wasn't it?
Fantastic memories. Fantastic memories. And just touching a little bit on what Simon said, I went to a stand-up event he did after his career ended, and he had some great stories. But you just always thought, maybe that was just second to his boxing career, and although he enjoyed telling the stories, it just didn't give him the same buzz. And 3 years ago, I was on holiday in Tenerife, and someone said he was on holiday himself there, and I thought, it'd be great if I bumped into him. And the next night, me and my mate, we went into a bar, and he was sat at the bar, and all on his own. And went up and spoke to him, said, about the experiences of going to Vegas and that, and he was really grateful and posed for a photograph. But I just got the impression he just wanted to be left alone. And we walked away, me and my mate, and I just kept thinking back, and I was thinking about it yesterday. He just didn't look really happy, bless him. And it's a terrible tragedy, and it just makes you realise. And a family man, and as men, we need to reach out there. I've got 2 sons in their 20s myself, and I just think we've all got to be aware and all got to talk, really.
Greg, thank you very much indeed for your call. Greg, a big Ricky Hatton fan, who met him and travelled to the States to watch him. Steve is a Manchester City fan, obviously a fan of Ricky's as well. Steve, am I right? You are one of Ricky's old school pals?
I am, yeah. Thanks for taking the call, lads. I was actually in his documentary recently. We'd all booked to go to Dubai to watch him in a fight. So yesterday was a call at possibly, we thought at times, making sure he's okay and stuff like that. But I just wanted to sort of put it out there that he was truly loved by all his close friends. Sorry, lad, sorry. We thought about him daily, so at times we sort of get tired with the same brush as people round him wasn't looking after him. We just recently come back off a stag. I went on my very first stag do with him at 17 years old, went all the way through school with him. The school was amazing with him as a boxer. We all knew what his potential was, where he was going to get to in his life. To go to Vegas and drive down that strip, and your school friend is plastered over all the billboards, all over the casino tables. He was just the most special lad to us, and it'll feel like life wouldn't be the same. Yeah, so I just really wanted to put a tribute to Hattersley's best ever son, who will be dearly missed by his true and honest friends, the true friends that were there for him day in, day out. At times it was hard to get through to him, but we were there for him as friends.
Well done, Steve. Thanks for your words. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Many tributes still coming in for Ricky Hatton, who died at the age of 46. Just want to thank everybody for the messages and the calls and the texts and the tweets about the sad news about Ricky Hatton. And we heard there from the Hatton family in terms of the statement that they have released this morning. And you'll be hearing more from that statement in the course of the morning, the afternoon, the evening on talkSPORT. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan and Martin Keown. And of course, we have to look back on what was an eventful weekend in the football field. Of course it was. They all are. But when the Premier League resumes, as it did after the international break, we thought there'd be a few headlines and we weren't disappointed. Manchester City, are they back? Are they no longer this Manchester City fading force that many people believed was the case? Maybe not. Victory over Manchester United at the weekend, and a convincing one, 3-0. What did it tell us? And where now for Ruben Amorim and Manchester United? How often in recent times have we asked that question? And of course, more often than not, it's Amorim's system that comes into the conversation. His 3-4-2-1 system came in for more criticism following the defeat to City. And of course, he said that for the time being, at least, he won't budge. This was Amorim post-match.
Not a record that you should have in Manchester United. There are a lot of things that you have no idea what happened during these months, but I accept that. But I'm not going to change. When I want to change my philosophy, I will change. If not, you have to change the man. So, and we will talk about that every game that we lose. I don't believe in that in the system or whatever. I play my way, and I'm going to play my will until I want to change. I'm going to give everything. I will do everything, always thinking about what is best for the club. That was always the same message. And then it's not my decision, the rest. So until I'm here, I will do my best I really want to win games. So I'm suffering more than them.
You better believe he wants to win games. He's going to have to. Martin, when you look at it, his Premier League record, managed them at 31 games in the Premier League, won 8. I mean, what does it tell us? Is he opting to stay wedded to a failing philosophy?
Yeah, I think so. It's the worst start for Manchester United for 32 years. I just feel this system, and I just want to bring a bit of player context. So I've played in this system myself. And I have mentioned this in the past, playing in a back four system at Arsenal, playing with Bruce Rioch, who introduced a back three with 2 midfield players. And we were like scratching our head every week. It was problematic. So we would do walkthroughs on a Monday. Right, where am I going in this situation? There were so many questions. And it was kind of like, you felt like statues on the pitch. Am I a fullback now? I'm the right side centre half. I've got to go running out to the fullback. Am I the fullback? Do I go all the way out or do I stay in the middle? So many question marks. And these players, I think two things. The calibre of player is not good enough anymore at Manchester United. I think he stripped the club of anybody with any real individual talent. So Garnacho, Anthony, Sancho, all been allowed to leave. Rashford as well has that individual ability. Okay, we know it's lacking in his performances, but nonetheless, he's an individual. And the team system, it doesn't as if the players are really convinced by it. They don't look like they're believing in it. So massive question marks. And you can see in the results, they're just not up to speed, Jim. And it's only heading one direction right now. And I just feel, again, it's this stubbornness to... Everyone talks about plus ones in the modern game. Where can we outnumber the opposition? There's two midfield players outnumbered. Foden was magnificent yesterday, by the way, just to go on to that. But he was allowed the time and space to do that. He just he knew he was going to be able to take control. You've got to give players the platform, Jim, to go and be successful. Otherwise, you make them look like they were second best, and they were certainly second best yesterday.
I mean, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's sitting there watching it. And of course, he's hearing what we hear. He's seeing what we see.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Simon, how much longer? I know we've spoken about this before, but where are we at now? The 15th of September. Does he go into October with them?
Well, I don't think it's existentially problematic to lose to Man City. I don't think those are problematic. In the scheme of things, in the bragging rights in Manchester between Manchester City and Man United, yes, you're going to get some flack for it.
8 wins in 31. That's problematic.
Sure, but there was a backstory to last season, and the fact that he wanted to stamp his own authority on it, and he wanted to change direction, and he wasn't going to pivot, and wasn't going to listen to the media. He was going to do what he wanted to do. So you take away those statistics, and you look at what's happening now, which is his pre-season, his group of players, his changing culture, his outlook, right? And you say to yourself, well, okay, what have we had, what we see? What I see for problematic for him, I don't see if they're going to get beat next week or get Chelsea come to Man United and beat them next week, you're still going to get a pass because Chelsea are a better side right now. It's when you start playing Brentford and Sunderland and you can't overcome those teams that the noise will really start to ramp up. Of course, we're going to pull out the statistics and say, look what that 8 from 31 games is, an appalling record. And Ineos are looking at it from their own point of view. I don't know whether Jim Ratcliffe knows what he's doing. I certainly know that he knows what he's doing in business. I certainly know what he knows by taking his $3 billion worth of investment and taking it to the US rather than doing it in the UK because of the circumstances. I'm certainly he knows what he's doing there. When it comes to the football side of things, with all due respect to him, he made a decision with Ten Hag which was absurd to keep them in situ and then give him a new contract, then take him out in October. You brought Amarim in, and ultimately you're seeing nothing from Amarim to give you any confidence. This is what I don't understand from the Man United fans. Have you fallen so low in your own expectations of yourself? Have you reached so far down into the bottom of your expectations of this football club that you're not able to say this isn't good enough? Because you seem to be applauding your manager as if it's... I mean, I realise that anybody but the Glazers is worth an applaud. Right? But the fact of the matter is, a manager that's been brought in after 30, 40 games and doesn't seem to be having any direction of travel that gives you any confidence, because there's nothing about what Amarim's done so far besides what he's done previously at Sporting that can give anybody anything to pin the tail on the donkey. And I look at it and say, well, Chelsea game comes up, City games, these games are what they are at this stage in United's evolution. But Sunderland, Brentford and other games...
Well, it's funny you say that, Simon, because next, Chelsea.
Yeah.
And then further down the line, Saturday the 27th of this month, they go to Brentford.
And then they got Sunderland, a promoted side, who are not going to roll over, who are not come up to the Premier League to be one of these Premier League fodder sides that are going to be accepted and relegated. They've got games on their hands, and no one's frightened of Man United anymore. No one cares about going to Old Trafford and be worried about the Man United lustre and imagery and iconography. Yeah. It's all gone.
So and Rashford's over at Barcelona and they win 6-0 last night.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah,
okay. But he did say that he needed a pre-season. He's been given that. He's now got time between games, probably too much time, but at least he can work on it. But we need to see improvement. So, Jim, these fixtures are immensely important for him. Was it 31 games, 16 defeats? You know, it's not great reading for any club. Never mind. We're talking about Manchester United here, and he's stripping the group of any real talent.
Yeah.
I don't think the squad looks good enough. And in fact, look, they'll stay up, Jim, but they ain't going to make any progress. I mean, honestly, it's that bad.
I always felt, in fairness to him, in the project that's in hand, and I hate to use the word project because it gives people a get out for being instantaneously able to make things different, which is what you're supposed to do to some extent. I always felt that if he was 15 games into this season and operating at the same sort of level of attainment he was getting last season, then the excuses would run out, or the opportunity to dazzle the media, or the opportunity to be someone that seems to be someone that you can really relate to because he says things that others won't. Oh, so what? We can all say things that others won't. It's about winning football matches.
Yeah.
And he is not winning football matches.
He's too long. Look at Thomas Frank going into Spurs, and who I was sitting here saying was perfect for them to go and get him. And they look magnificent right now.
Well, I mean, Manchester United fans listening this morning, the fact of the matter is this: Premier League record under Amarim. He's managed them 31 times in the Premier League and they've won 8. They've lost 16. So is it almost time up in your eyes? Do you think, it's gone as far as it should go, and maybe, for the best for the club, it would be best for the club that he goes now, and then you have a chance to see what someone else can do in the hot seat? Or are you seeing something that persuades you to think Nah, give him time yet. Give him time yet. If so, what is that something that you're seeing? 03717 223344 81089.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 3 minutes past 11, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. We understand Ruben Amorim still has the backing of the board at Manchester United. Amorim's lost 16 of his 31 Premier League games, but insists his system is not the problem. Here's Simon Jordan.
I don't agree with that. I think perhaps the players that have been bought and the players that are out in the field aren't good enough to play in any bloody system. But also, to some extent, the manager has to take a huge amount of responsibility for sitting in a place where you've made things worse.
Man United's 3 games before the international break at Chelsea at home, Brentford away, then Sunderland at home. Following the 3-0 defeat to Man City at the Etihad, former defender Phil Bardsley's told us Man United's backline is all over the place.
I just feel like we look wide open on transition when we lose the ball. The gaps in the middle of the park are just enormous.
Now, Conor McGregor has pulled out of the race to become the next president of Ireland, but the former MMA fighter says this is just the beginning of his political journey. And Mayor of Manchester, Andy Burnham, says the city will give Ricky Hatton a proper send-off. He was found dead at home aged 46. Police are not treating it as suspicious. Boxing commentator Ian Darke calls Ricky an incredible fighter and a true man of the people.
He'd go down the pub, he'd sink Guinnesses, he loved, greasy spoon cafes and entering daft shirt contests. He had time for everybody that he met. He'd need 14 weeks to get ready for a fight, but he would be spot on
In a statement, Ricky Hatton's family say it's been a great comfort to see just how many lives he touched. There's more on Hutton's legacy at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Labour MPs say the Prime Minister could be gone by May unless he changes course, and Constance Martin and Mark Gordon are due to be sentenced for the death of their newborn baby. There's more from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With a huge range of premium brands available, we've got what you need to drive away happy every time. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
It's mostly cloudy and wet, the best of any sun across the south of England, windy across England and Wales, an unsettled week ahead.
Good morning, everybody. 6 minutes past 11 o'clock. It's Monday morning. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown. We're all live on talkSPORT, and you're all watching the show these days, which is great news for us. We're live on Samsung, Fire TV, Android, Google TV, even Prime Video. Wherever you want to watch it, you can see us live. In the mornings between 10 and 1, and we're with you on talkSPORT, courtesy of Selco. It's where the trade goes. Lots of questions to be answered this morning. How long has Amorim got at Manchester United? How long has Russell Martin got at Rangers? And is it true, is Chris Wilder coming back to Sheffield United? Not for a second time, but for a third time. Could well be, Simon. Could well be. You're grinning.
Well, no, I was in Spain and I saw them get beat 5-0, so I put a tweet up about Chris Wilder saying, how's that worked out for you then? And I spoke to someone that knows him, because I'm doing a show with Neil Warnock at London Palladium on Thursday, and this guy's comparing it, and we were talking about Chris Wilder and how he should hold their feet to the fire. These guys want him back, then he should be holding their feet to the fire because they were quick to get him out the door, and I don't think he deserved to lose his job.
Now, listen, fellas, in all honesty, this morning, that you've sold out the London Palladium, have you?
Indeed.
It's a sellout, is it?
Indeed.
We didn't get any tickets, did we?
I might squeeze myself in there. I'm not entirely sure. Might be in with the orchestra.
You can sell the Kiora. He can be in with the Kiora.
I'm
looking, the Kiora girl selling
looking forward to that bit when you and Warnock sing with the orchestra in the London Palladium. Simon, there's no stopping this man these days, is he? He's a theatre star, never mind a talkSPORT star. Many of you get in touch this morning regards Manchester United and where they're at. Is it as bad as last season? Is it going to end up as bad as last season? Is it going to end up worse? Is this the season Manchester United get relegated if they don't do something about it now? Amorim, the man in charge, is 3-4-2-1 system. Now, I'm not going to change it, he says. Not for the time being, but do you see any light in the darkness that surrounds Old Trafford at this time? They go across the city yesterday. They're up against Manchester City. Haaland's in the mood. They lose it by 3-0. What is changing in your eyes at Manchester United? Do you see anything to give you hope under this man Amorim? 03717 223344. And Rich will kick us off. A big United fan. Rich, good morning. You're through to us. What do you want to say, mate?
Yeah, morning, chaps. Good show as always.
Thank you, Rich.
I want to start with our scouting. So when you look at Dorgu, who in their right mind has gone over to Italy, gone to Lecce and thought, you know what, this lad's exactly what we need. Like, he's meant to be a left fullback or a left winger as Amorim's playing him, but what's happened to our left wingers? You know, he's the furthest player up the pitch on the left-hand side. He can't put a ball into the box. We've got Ugarte playing centre mid. Can't kick a ball, can't run.
Right.
We've now got Sesko up top. We spent 75 million on a striker who looks scared to even go near the ball. It's baffling.
Let's put it to Martin. He's not having Dorgu, he's not having Ugarte, and he's wondering who scouts these players, who comes in and says, yeah, we should go for them.
I mean, obviously, I think he's got a point with Dorku in those wide areas, high positions. You want technical players. This was the point I was making about getting rid of all the the talented wingers. But you want to play. These are essentially defenders that find themselves in the final third, then don't have that creativity in their game. Sesko, I thought actually a couple of times showed a bit of pace, but they don't really go into him. In Bomo, it'd be interesting to chat to him now about how he feels about being at the Manchester United club, where he's not really getting much of the ball. He's doing a lot of defending. I just feel that the system doesn't really give anybody a chance to really flourish. But as I said, the quality of players not there, and you need that quality in wide positions, Jim. And you look at the Manchester United teams of yesteryear; they always had wingers that could just put the opposite defender on toast, and that ain't happening at the moment.
And anything positive for you, Rich, to cling on to?
Not really at the moment. I mean, if we can get the opportunity to change our formation, perhaps play with one defensive midfielder and play Mainu and Bruno Fernandes ahead of the defensive midfielder, so you've got three in the middle, and then you play your Cunha's out left wide, and you play your Buemos out right wide. People who are going to cut in and create something, because I'm sorry, Dorgu on one side, Dallo on the other side, they're too defensive-minded. They just can't create anything. It's utterly, utterly ridiculous. We can all see it, and yet the manager can't. I mean, it's crazy.
Rich, thanks for the call. Here's Brian. He thinks he's watching a game of Call My Bluff. Remember that all these years ago, Simon?
Frank Muir.
BBC Two. Frank Muir. Brian, what's your take on it? Big United fan.
Yeah, hi lads. Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I'm pained to say I'm actually I'm in danger of agreeing with Simon this morning. And it doesn't sit well. Lads, I've been a football scout for 30 years. I worked for 2 Premier League clubs and 2 lower league clubs. I'm not an expert. I'm just saying what I see. I just think that he being Amorim, he looks hugely out of his depth. I just think it feels like he's almost trying to work himself out of a job. And this persistence of sticking to the same routine, same role, same system, that's either insecurity, obstinance, or idiocy, or a combination of the three. He said a while back, I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing. And it piqued my interest. I thought, well, why do you need to say that in a press conference? Other managers across the board wouldn't need to say that. He then said about 2 weeks ago, before the international break, I'm going to sort it out. What on earth is he going to sort out? There doesn't seem to be any progression between when he came in and where the team is today. He inherited a lot of players from Ten Hag who were just mediocre at best. He's moved them on. For me, it doesn't seem to be fitting. He seems to be trying to put the players into a system he wants rather than developing a system for the players.
Well, you heard Martin on the system. Briefly, Brian, do you think he's a bluffer?
Oh, to some tune, yeah. Oh, he's a huge bluffer. Yeah. There's no, in my mind, there is absolutely no question about that. And the more he does, and the more I see him, and the more you look at him, bluffer, 100%.
It's just that his record in Portugal would suggest that he's not bluffing, Brian.
Yeah, but that's Portugal, isn't it? And again, with all due respect, you've got three big teams in Portugal, and he did well there. He's not got the grind, the weekly hassle, the weekly aggravation of the Premier League. Every game's a hard game.
Okay, Brian, thanks for that. Brian was in danger of agreeing with you.
I know, the backhanded compliment was wonderful to receive.
Yeah.
Jim, he has had a level of success, hasn't he, in playing this system in another continent, another country, sorry, and he's come here and it simply hasn't worked for him. That's what it is. I mean, we saw Conte, didn't we, many years ago? Chelsea came here playing a back four. Halfway through a game, I think it was against Arsenal. Do you know what?
Knocked into it.
I can't manage in any other way, really, because I've been at Juve, I've played a 5. They don't seem to understand it. I'm going to go to a 5. Now, it was quite robotic, very well organised. It was played in a slightly different way to this. The lines were closer together.
One in the league.
Yeah, one in the league.
Yes.
Pretty well the only winners of the league playing this system. We saw Inter Milan play this system in the final of the Champions League. They're not having a great start to the season, by the way. It's a tricky system because you've got 5 players at the back and you've got to try and get everybody out. You can get pinned back quite easily, Jim, and you need to know your stuff. But he's getting overrun in the middle of the park and he's not finding solutions. So it's a massive worry.
Nobody can sort it. since Ferguson. Nobody can sort this place out, Simon.
Well, it's all
some of the biggest names in the game are coming down.
But it's all relative now. What we consider to have been, if we put Mourinho back in situ, just for the sake of argument, or even Van Gaal, and go, Mourinho wins the UEFA Cup, gets second in the league. Some people would say, relatively speaking, United was in good fettle. At the time, people were going, this isn't good enough. This is unacceptable. This is not what Man United are. So actually, it's the slow managing. What you've got is a managing of decline.
I mean, Ole was second.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I maintain the view that I think some of the lack of substance and style and discipline and culture of this football club was seeded in during his tenure. But there was a period of time where he looks as if they were doing okay under him. I agree, but I was very critical of him, and I still believe that there was elements of that. I think all of them have, their fingers over this demise, but also the ownership, the lack of direction, the lack of control. Not just the fact the owners take all the money out, because they spend loads of money too, not theirs, the club's money. There's no lack of investment in the team.
Yeah.
There's just a lack of direction.
So, as we know, it's Chelsea next. Might get a pass for that one, but then it's Brentford. All due respect to Brentford. Can United go there and lose and Amarin remain in situ? We'll see. It's 11:15. Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown. And we're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. Martin Keown and I were just discussing the chances we give other people to get outside work here because of this great show. Mr. Jordan, of course, on the stage of the London Palladium on Thursday night with Neil Warnock. It's a sellout. Very few tickets left, which doesn't suggest a sellout. But anyway, we'll see how that goes for Simon. But obviously, the show has pushed him in that direction, and that's wonderful.
You're quite right.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Isn't
the platform we've given him.
And now we hear James Haskell, former England international rugby player who's, of course, been a guest on this show, now part of the Good, the Bad and the Rugby podcast, alongside Mike Tindall and Alex Payne. And James Haskell joins us live in studio. So which one are you, James? The good, the bad or the rugby?
Well, I'm clearly the bad, obviously. I mean, first of all, I feel like the fact you've helped Simon with his career. Well, thank you for having me, lads. Thank you for giving up and coming bloke a chance. I really appreciate it. If there is any work off the back of this, please contact my agent, or just me. Actually, I say an agent, it's just me.
James, have I reached the point where Jim White's helped me in my career?
That's what I mean.
I'm finished. I'm done.
What I mean.
That's the end of it.
That's what I mean.
May as well throw in the towel.
Just turn up every day and go, thank you, you're welcome.
But there you are. You're going on tour with Alex, who I remember from Sky, and Mike Tindall.
We actually did the Palladium. We sold it out. There wasn't a little bit of a caveat where there's extra tickets are available. We did sell it out, and that was wicked. So yeah, we're going on tour again. We've done it 3 times before. It's great because actually all the audience that come and buy the tickets have never listened to the podcast. It's very bizarre because I think we do have some people, obviously I'm being slightly facetious, but majority of it, when we start the show, we say, how many of you listen to the podcast? And there's sort of a lot of people have never heard of it. And then you sort of see them startled after the first sort of 10 minutes because they think they're going to get some real nice breakdown about rugby and scrum laws and was Eddie Jones the right man for the job and all this kind of stuff. And within about 3 or 4 minutes, there's royal anecdotes, there's jokes about all sorts of people. Mike Tindall's head in hands, Alex is in tears. I'm sort of saying all the things you can't say. And then when you come out for the second half, you go, well, they left, or some people haven't. So it's kind of quite nice.
So it's a rugby audience, though, is it?
Yeah, well, do you know what? It's mainly people, I think, who see Tins' name on the board, so they think they're going to get a bit of insight about the royal family, sort of Middle England. They love Mike Tindall, this sort of older generation, the Blue Rinse Brigade. They want to listen to.
That means you, Jim.
Yeah. Brilliant. No, that's Ashtray Blonde. That's not so I think they kind of want to talk about that, and then kind of we come in and we do regionally. If we go to Wales, we talk about kind of my relationship with Warren Gatland and Sean Edwards and the stories about that, what it was like to play at the Millennium or the Principality now. And then we go with London. It's a bit more of a cosmopolitan audience, so they want a bit more. So we sort of see as we go along, but there isn't a real structure to it. It's kind of a bit of a free for all, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of good about rugby. There's plenty to talk about in the world of rugby. What gets your goat? What's the bad aspect of rugby at the moment?
Well, do you know what? I think at the moment it's kind of how it markets itself and the complication about how difficult the game is. You know, I've said this before, I think maybe on this show in particular. You know, everyone always laughs about people not understanding the offside rule in football. It's the real complicated thing. That would be the most basic rule in rugby. And unfortunately, when you're trying to market a game, you need to make it more understood. You need to see how it's marketed and put out there. That's why I think we've got this R360 league, which is coming out of nowhere. Tins is kind of involved in that. We've kind of got a rebirth of sevens, trying to make it more attractive. They've just launched this big sevens league in India, which was kind of quite wild. So I think at the moment it's a lack of identity, it's a lack of marketing and understanding how to propel the sport forward, because the women's side of it is growing great guns. You know, they've got the semi-final. I think hopefully they're going to have a sellout at Twickenham 82,000. But the men's side, not the international side, but the Premiership side, is diminishing. You know, Leonard Curtis did a report. Seven sides are balance sheet insolvent. There's a real issue, and so that for me is a problem. How are we going to keep it going? How are we keep it popular?
We're just off the back of this Lions tour, but we've got to wait another 4 years now.
Yeah.
What's that all about? I mean, it's the most marketable.
Yeah, I just think it's the mystique. Really.
These nations coming together. It's a unique situation.
I mean, it was wild.
Great rugby.
Yeah, it was wild out there. I mean, we went on there on tour with the boys. Went to Brisbane, Melbourne, and Sydney. We did some live shows, and look, the appetite for rugby and the fans are better than ever. You know, the product on the field is fantastic. You know, the Lions Tour obviously happens every 4 years because of that kind of tradition and mystique. We've got World Cups, we've got other tournaments in between. I think what rugby needs to do is focus on what it does well, find its identity. You know, it's a contact sport, it's a violent game, it's not for everyone. Everyone can play it, but it's not for everyone in terms of mindset and physicality, and trying to pretend it's not what it is. You know, you look at the UFC, how they've adopted the fighting game. They're unapologetic. They allow characters, rightly or wrongly. You know, that whole freedom of speech argument we've got going at the moment. You don't necessarily have to listen or agree with what people say, but they should have the platform to be able to do it. Sports people are flawed. You know, you shouldn't, you know, people, we become role models, not necessarily rightly so. You don't have to follow everything I say, but we should have that razzmatazz, that kind of showbiz, that ability to put performances on. And rugby, I think, for a while at the moment, talks about it's a collision avoidance sport, and don't talk about contact, and don't show this, and what was if little Timmy gets hurt? It's like, little Timmy's going to get hurt, it's a violent game. Don't let them play it if you don't want them to play it. And I think once we own that and adopt it and showcase it for what it is, big hits, big moments, big collisions, characters, it'll keep growing.
But it's got issues, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We've
all got issues.
These big collisions, James, you're talking about.
Yeah.
And of course, what happens to some of the players when they finish?
Yeah, I mean, look at
in the second test, the Lions test against Australia, and it looked like for the first time I saw a player dive.
in rugby.
And I thought, hold on, where are we going with rugby now?
Yeah, I caused a massive furore in Australia for that. I was persona non grata because the second test, there was an incident where a perfect clear out in my mind. Jack Morgan, unbelievable, technical clear out. I would have, that was like fantastic. But he hit the Australian player on the back of the head, which there was no space to do anything else. The player dived, right? And I said the only red card incident was the player diving. Obviously, everyone went mad, saying I was laughing at safety. The thing about rugby is, where you can't make the game any safer, like you boxing and UFC, right? You can't ask people to punch more lightly or kick more lightly. What you can do is say, who are the best medical experts around? How much recovery time do we allow? How much do we look after the players? How much contact do they do in training? All those things can be structured to look after the players better. I mean, my body is falling apart. I've got arthritis in my ankle. I've got to have a fusion in November. I had a screw taken out my wrist the other day. I'm not bitter about any of it. I mean, luckily I've escaped with my faculties intact. I'm not sure if anyone would notice any difference if they weren't there, but I'm trying to look after myself. But the point is, I knew what I was getting into. What I would look back on my career goes, was I looked after properly? Probably not. Was I forced to play when I shouldn't have played? Yes. Did I make decisions myself as a player that were detrimental to my health? Yes. Could we have looked after more? Could I have done less training? Could I have done less contact? 100%. And that, I think, would mitigate the risk. But you take
once the whistle blows, you do it.
Yeah, you have to do it. But we all know that,
Yeah. I mean, Mike Tyndall, you mentioned, co-founder, director of R360.
Yeah.
And this is a breakaway group, isn't it, James?
Broken away from us as well. I was trying to get cash in hand. I thought he was going to look after the boys, but Tins has done what he always does. Nipped off and taken care of himself, number one.
I think we've got a message from Tyndall, or Tins as you call him, because this is what he says this breakaway group's all about.
Our vision hasn't changed since day one, to change the game for you, for the fans, and for the good of the game. We want to help grow the sport we love by creating the most exciting version ever. One that connects with a whole new generation of fans by taking the best of sport and entertainment to create something truly, truly special. We're excited about the progress we've made, and I'm very, very pleased to say we are on plan. And in certain areas, we are ahead of plan. But the shorthand is that we are very much game on for season 26.
Okay, it's a breakaway franchise league. Yeah. If he wasn't behind it, would you be? Do you give it your backing?
Well, I was initially. They came to me first and said, "Would I like to get involved?" And I said yes. And then I realised that Tins had a much more extensive black book than I did, more connections, and was much more palatable than I was. So I was phased out the back. So I think I'm going to be called in phase 2 for pitchside entertainment and DJing.
You support it?
Yeah, I think so. Look. I truly believe, having been involved in sport for a period of time, that rugby's lack of marketing understanding, it has to be changed. We are steeped in tradition. We're the only sport, I think, that has an amateur board and a professional board running the game. The grassroots side of rugby, like any sport, is fantastic. It's for stories, for education, for fun, for adventures, for mother and daughter tours, for father and son tours, all that mystique. But it has no bearing on the professional game. The professional game is about making money. It's about looking after players. It's about entertainment. It's about staying alive. The two do not mix, and the two are not mutually exclusive. You look at the NFL; it doesn't have a strong amateur league, if at all. You don't need it, so they need to be separated. And I think R360 needs to do everything rugby has never done. That's why I'm always interested with the women's game. Is when they sort of try to follow what men have done. It's like no. Build your own path. Don't do anything we've done, because we are X amount of years professional. We've got teams that are losing money. We've got teams that go in bust. We need to change the dynamic. And I think Tins and his guys are disruptors, but in a really positive way. I back them. I think it's a fantastic idea. I think the Premiership, if it draws talent away from the Premiership will reset, because it's the only business model that loses money the entire time, and they just keep doubling down on it. If I tried to sell you to invest in a Premiership team and I said, this is how much we spend, this is how much we make, you'd be like, well, where's the upside?
Do you love doing these things now, James? Because during your rugby career, when you played, you couldn't say what you want.
Well, that's what I think I did. That's what I probably did. And that's why.
Not all the time, though.
No.
And you can on this podcast. You can on this tour. I mean, this man to my left every morning means what he says and says what he means. It's so refreshing. Up until now, you couldn't really do that.
The thing with Simon, for example, and I was thinking about this while you were asking the questions, is, you know, you mean what you believe. You don't say it for sensationalist purposes. I think in the media, you look at ex-players and former pundits, people sometimes say stuff because it's easy to get headlines and to be contrite and to be contrary. I think the reason a podcast is being successful is we fundamentally believe it. I believe in what we're saying. But I think as well, I don't have such particular entrenched views that I wouldn't listen to somebody. I come on, I go, this is what I believe. And people, particularly with me as a person, think that they know me, they see stuff online, and they come and meet me, and they probably might still think it afterwards, but they're willing to adapt and move on. It's the same thing with me. I come in and go, I have a belief. What do you think about that? Someone says a counter-argument, and then you start to believe it. And I think that's what Simon does particularly well. Brilliant. That's what pundits do particularly well. That's where you have authenticity. Where you just come in and say something bombastic and contrary for the sake of it, you get headlines. But if you don't have the substance or the ability to put your hand up and go, I got that wrong.
James,
I got that wrong.
Is it in this 360, is there a blueprint plan about the sevens? Because the sevens game is really attractive.
Yes.
We've seen it in cricket, haven't we?
Yeah, so
what's taken off.
Yes, what's really interesting about rugby had a vehicle already that was dynamic, that was interesting, that had a world tour, that had different audiences, that picked up different people, and that was a sevens circuit. And unfortunately, the sevens body went from losing, I think, like 3-4 million. And again, my details, hyperbole is my number one rule, details is not. So if you have to look into it. But they were losing a little bit of money.
For the millionth time, stop exaggerating.
Sorry. And they were losing a lot of money, but then they decided, instead of just putting the events on, instead of just hosting events around the world, they would put the events on. So they went to losing 25 million because they're not operators, they're not event operators. So they've messed that up completely. Yeah. It's basically become disbanded. So I think there is definitely the Sunderland buying group, I think, are looking to set up a sevens thing. There's the stuff in India. There's another league that's being set up because people see the purpose of that. I think the R360 is just focused on the 15s game at the moment. They're looking to build into it where all the other teams and ideas have gone wrong. They're trying to refresh that and set it up. Idea, I think, was to start in maybe October or next year. I'm not sure the details again, but I know it's underway. Tins is very exciting. He's certainly not answering his phone, so he must be doing well.
James, good luck with it. The Good, the Bad, the Rugby podcast. Mike Tyndall, of course, our good pal here, James Haskell and Alex Payne. And then the boys go on tour. They haven't quite, I've noticed, hit the dizzy heights of the London Palladium like it still has with Warnock. But you're going to Warwick, Birmingham, Cardiff, Oxford, Reading, and it all finishes off at Guildford G Live on the 5th of November. Fireworks that night. James, thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure. Always nice to come on. And thank you so much for raising my profile and getting me a job and raising my business acumen.
Your podcast is a brilliant.
What would you do without us, James?
I don't know. Thank you so much. I'll bring in a gift next time.
Not at all. No. The check's in the post. Make sure. It's 11:30.
Who would have thought a sporting event's halftime show could have a bigger impact than the game itself? That seems to be the case with the Super Bowl halftime show. In 2024, Usher brought in an audience of 180 million worldwide, the biggest in the event's history. But how did singing and dancing get to be the centerpiece of America's biggest sporting event? The first Super Bowl was held in 1967. Initially, the halftime show was a display purely for the fans in the stadium, with marching bands, dancers, and American patriotism for all to see. And that's what it was for the first few years. Disney had a go with a few questionable displays in the 1980s, but it wasn't until '93 that we got the first glimpse into the future of halftime shows. Michael Jackson's stellar performance gave NFL execs something to think about. A raft of massive names followed, including Diana Ross, U2, Janet Jackson, who gave us the most famous or infamous wardrobe malfunction of all time. So how many people are involved? To give you an idea of the scale, Rihanna's 2023 performance included 800 people, and experts reckon it cost $13 million. What's even more impressive than some of the names on the bill every year is the fact they do it for free. The artists know the exposure they'll get from doing the show will rocket them up the charts across the world. The Super Bowl halftime show will be a fixture in pop culture for years to come. So the question is, who next?
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
It's that time. We're joined by Matt Gibson from BetMGM. We'll look at some of the top sporting events and the odds around and about them. Mr. Gibson, good morning. You join me with Simon Jordan, Martin Keown. Premier League football was back, and by God, we were glad about that. Let's look at those who got off to a good start at the top of the league. What are you thinking, Matt?
Yeah, we'll have a look at the top of the tree. There has been some market fluctuation since we kicked off at the start of the season. Chelsea seem like the price has been all over the place. They've levelled out at about 12-1 to win the division. They were 18-1 before they won the Club World Cup. We clipped them right into 8-1. They're somewhere in between now, somewhere between those two prices now, which seems about right. Spurs, I thought, were really impressive. Disappointing loss to Bournemouth a couple of weeks ago. I think they probably should have had one more goal as well. I thought that VAR decision was a wee bit soft. Xavi Simons looked good on debut as well. And then Arsenal, really impressive, as Martin will definitely know. 3 out of 4 wins, all those 3 wins to 0. The game that they did lose was because of Dom Szoboszlai's amazing free kick. The strength in depth looks really impressive. They started the season, September 1st, the odds were 15-8 to win the title. They're now clipped into to 8-5, just behind Liverpool at 6-5, who leave it late once again. The decisive goals, Liverpool have come in minutes 88, 90 plus 10, 83 and 90 plus 5. Gents, is this a team that's struggling to get going, or is this just what champions do? You need to do these sorts of things to win the title.
Well, it's a great point Matt makes, isn't it? I mean, it hasn't clicked yet for Liverpool, but it's 4 from 4.
No, but if you're a player, it will taste really good. You know, when you win games late on, particularly away from home, Newcastle as did, Burnley, they should be breaking Burnley down. They had difficulties finding solutions, but it tastes really sweet when you win late on. It starts to bond you together, and they'll be feeling that they can go and do it again. But it's a long, long way to go, of course.
Do you think many people will be having Chelsea at 12-1 to win it?
Possibly, because it's quite long odds for an opportunity, but I don't think Chelsea are ready this season. I think they'll be knocking in and around the top 4, but I don't think they're ready this season.
They were challengers last season, weren't they?
Well,
in your eyes,
they were and they weren't. And the manager
challengers this season.
Well, the manager did his very best at Christmas to make sure that everyone knew that they weren't good enough, so he fulfilled that outcome by making sure that they didn't become good enough.
Cole Palmer, though, came on and was magnificent. Should have won the game for Chelsea.
Or Brentford.
Yeah, and I thought Brentford, they just kept going. They showed some of that
they nicked that at the end, Brentford. It was wonderful.
Yeah, under Keith Andrews, they showed similar traits to the previous manager.
Talking about
despite losing lots of players.
Talking about nicking things, I had the opportunity to go to Fulham versus Leeds on Saturday, which I turned down. Cool. So I went to Spain instead because one of their players, his son goes to school with my son, and I didn't take it, and I wish I had because I'd like to see Matt Gibson this morning.
Well, that's right. Well, I mean, Simon missed a wonder goal from your own Gabriel Goodmanson, did he not?
Yes, he did. I wasn't in West London to see it in person, but plenty of people have sent me the clip over the weekend, Simon. Yeah. So I've seen it from all angles. Can't quite work out how it's got in the top corner where it's just hit the kid in the face from about 12 yards away. But I think from what I saw, Leeds did all right. Dominic Calvert-Lewin had one chance to score and maybe he should have, but he headed it straight at the keeper. I think it's the other end. I think it's scoring goals where we're struggling. We've only scored one goal, and that was from a penalty, I believe. So, you know, we kept it relatively tight, and a free cone goal decided it. We're still not in the bottom 3 odds to be relegated, gentlemen. I promise I've got nothing to do with our prices here at BetMGM. Burnley are 33-100 to go down, Wolves 7-10, Sunderland short than us to go down 11-10, and we're quite a lofty 8-5. West Ham, the biggest market movers for relegation. Start of the year, 11-2, all the way into 2-1. Probably a reflection of the tricky start Graham Potter's face. But it's a 6-pointer already on Saturday, gents. As we go to Molineux, we'll definitely be next week.
Well, I mean, for those who don't know, it was a wonder goal, but it was in the wrong end for Gabriel Goodmanson of Leeds.
That's bad luck. That's just bad luck, Jim, isn't it?
It's bad. Well, I was going to ask you,
bad luck.
Do you have any memories of
far too many that I wouldn't want to bring up?
There was one at the Reebok, wasn't there?
There was, yeah, coming off the bench late on, back from a bad injury, and came on, ball hit me on the head, back in the net.
Yeah.
I'd attack that ball exactly the same if I had that chance again, because I invariably that's what I did. And sometimes you get unlucky, it just comes off you. Put it into a good area.
Yeah. Is it a bad memory for you? Because it more or less cost you the title, didn't it?
What? I think it was pretty well over at that point anyway, to be fair. But that's a hurtful. I thought you changed, but you're not. You're just the same.
We're in dangerous ground here, Matt.
Under the
listeners and viewers might see Martin Keown's Good Monday Morning approach change somewhat in the next few moments. But I mean, there's nothing you can do.
Of course,
own goals are own goals, aren't they?
Yeah. You look. How many times did I get my head on the ball and cleared it?
Yeah.
Just occasionally it comes off you. You just have to take the rough with the smooth.
I remember Scotland at Hampden, the great Willie Donachie, a pass back. Do you remember that? I think Jim Blythe was in goal.
Go through the keeper's hands.
No, he just couldn't get to the near post in time after Willie passed it back. Yeah. That was a belter. We've had a few. Champions League football, Matt, is back, and evidence of that as if it was needed. Tuesday, live on talkSPORT, talkSPORT 2, Athletic Bilbao against Martin Keown's Arsenal. And later on, some big games during the week, of course, featuring Liverpool, featuring Chelsea, featuring Newcastle, featuring Manchester City. We'll look forward to it immensely.
Yeah, we're treated to European football Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, as you said, Jim, which is a rarity. And I think the only week that we'll have it, because Europa League starts next week. There are plenty of games on. For me, pick the bunch, probably both on Thursday night, Jim. Newcastle, Barcelona. Newcastle 11-5. We'll get stuck into it later on in the week, but Newcastle 11-5. They were a similar price against PSG about 2 years ago. And St James's Park came to the party and they did them 4-1. I think that price is only going to get shorter. And then Manchester City play Napoli. Kevin De Bruyne's homecoming, if you like. Napoli 19-5 to put on over City. But we'll have a look at the outrights before a ball's kicked, gents. FC Barcelona and Liverpool lead the way at 6-1. PSG 13-2. Arsenal, maybe not a bad price at 7s. Real Madrid, who've won it umpteen times, 8-1. Manchester City 9-1. Bayern Munich 10-1. The rest bigger than 10-1. Fellas, where's your money at? If you've got a fiver, where's the money at for the listeners?
What do you think? Arsenal to win at Athletic Bilbao? Semi-final last year, Martin. Can you see them going one better?
Well, let's see how they get on. Let's see how they progress. They've got Bayern, haven't they, and Inter Milan to play later in the group stage. I love this group stage, by the way, what it just brings up, all these different scenarios. Looking forward to seeing De Bruyne go back to Man City. Told he wasn't good enough anymore. That would be really interesting. Barcelona winning 6-0 at the weekend.
Yeah.
That's Newcastle, though. I just feel Newcastle are capable of doing it with their home.
You're a fan of the new system.
Love it.
They've adopted
Love it.
for the Champions League. And that means if you're a fan of that, you're a fan of more games.
Yeah, but there's 8 games. But you know what we've got now. You're out of order. But no, I like it though, Jim, because I think it's actually what I saw last year with Real Madrid. You know, like they got kind of cosy. You play your home and away. We play your home and away.
Yes,
and we know how to beat you. But when you just suddenly randomly playing 8 teams like you are, I don't know how on earth they pick them out, to be honest. And I don't know how you go through it and say who's got the best draw and who hasn't, because everyone looks like they've got difficult matches. But nonetheless, the interest it creates, Jim, is reborn again.
Yeah.
It's Champions League for me. It's a much better form.
I like this new approach you've got. Normally, when I'd say something like that, you'd threaten to do something to me in the break.
Simon's told me not to react anymore.
Oh, well done, Mark. Well done. Newcastle Barcelona is a belter, isn't it? On Thursday night, so I'm looking forward to that. Barcelona beat Valencia 6-0 last night, and it's such a young team. Tiny Voltemada would be towering over.
But it's nice to see Newcastle centre forward get a goal on debut, because that gives him a lift in it.
He looked decent as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
he's an interesting player, quick, really good in the air as you'd expect.
And they got wingers.
Yeah,
they got wingers.
Just put the ball into him. So I think that's what they'll do now.
They've got what?
Harvey Barnes, raining balls in.
Yeah. Sam's just seeing in a plane to nearby London City Airport. Well done, Matt Gibson. Thank you for that. That was a look at some of the odds on betmgm.co.uk. Download the app. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Now then, what I can tell you is the latest episode of the 21 Minutes to Go podcast with Andy Goldstein and Jason Cundy is out now. And if you haven't already, go check it. 21 Minutes to Go with Goldstein and Cundy, available on your favourite podcast provider. That's one for you. Not for the first time this year. A massive fight, this time in Vegas, not here in London or not in Riyadh. And this was one for the purists, wasn't it? Terence Crawford making history when he came up against Canelo Alvarez and he won it on points in Las Vegas. And that means he takes all of his super middleweight belts, becoming the first fighter in the modern era to become undisputed champion in 3 weight classes. The man to my left was in Spain. Mr. Jordan got out his bed at 5 a.m. and watched it, and he no doubt saw Crawford speaking post-fight.
The great things come to those who wait. You know, the cream always rise to the top. All the time that they blocked me out, they said I wasn't fighting nobody, I can't beat this dude, I can't beat that dude. Every time that I got a chance, I wiped the floor with him. So just imagine where I would have been at today if I had got them opportunities a long time ago. But then again, it wasn't my time. My time is now, and I'm happy that everything played out the way it did. And you're looking at the undisputed champion of the world right now.
That is for sure. Is he the modern day GOAT now, Simon?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you can make the argument for Usyk too. I'm surprised he speaks like that because it's not normally the way he speaks. And the fact that he's got 3 undisputed means that he must have been given certain opportunities. So I'm surprised he felt the need to say that, but perhaps there was reasons behind it. I mean, Alvarez thought they were going to get him cold because he hadn't fought for 13, 14 months, had some surgery and stuff like that. And the other side of the argument is they've got an Alvarez that's been fighting lesser than opposition. That is not what he once was before. He was there to be beaten by someone of the standard of Terence Crawford, which they're very few and far between. I mean, there was no doubt. The only thing that I felt controversial about this fight, because it didn't catch a light. There were moments in it where it was exciting. It was like better Bivol, because you're seeing 2 of the best fighters in the world.
Yeah.
And there'd be more emotional investment in watching that tripe that Conor Benn and Chris Eubank will serve up again in terms of the comparison. But there will be. But the fact is the only thing I found controversial about it was the appalling scoring. I don't know how anyone... I mean, the AI scoring was just as bad because it came out of a draw. But the actual, this wasn't a close fight.
Well, the AI scoring, you're right.
It is a draw.
The AI is meant to be the ultimate judge.
Yeah.
114, 114.
No, the other judges scored it 115, 113. There was miles apart. I mean, you can look at the fight. You can give round 5 to Canelo Alvarez. You might find another couple of rounds in there. You might find the first round that round was tied.
Yeah.
But the rest of the way there was a distinct level.
Something else that was a bit askew. Crawford's payday $50 million. Canelo walked away with $150 million.
Well, he has done his deals. And that's what maybe Crawford was talking about, the fact that Saul Alvarez has been able to sell himself in such a way because of his personality, because of the nature of the relationship with the Mexican contingent, his relationship with the broadcasters, whereas Terence Crawford has travelled a little bit under the radar, always been seen. He doesn't have the biggest of personalities, so he doesn't sell himself in that certain way. But as far as boxing expertise is concerned, forget about it. You know, his achievement is remarkable. But then again, so is Alexander Usyk coming up from cruiserweight. Alexander Usyk can't go up 3 weight divisions. He can't do what this kid has done. He can't do it because he can only go from cruiserweights to heavyweights. He might have gone bridgerweight in the middle, but who wanted that?
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is he's gone into the heavyweights and he's beaten everybody in the heavyweights. So you have to say Usyk has to be in that basis, pound for pound, alongside Crawford.
Now, even from whatever it was you were holed up in Spain, a friend of mine said he's been at it on
Granada.
You were at it on Twitter talking about the atmosphere or lack of it.
Yes.
Were you having a blast at that?
I did.
And then someone who's at the fight sent me this video. If you're watching on YouTube at the moment, or if you're watching us on TV, have a look at that and have a listen to that. Now, If that's not stoking it up, in terms of atmosphere, I don't know what that is. You and I have sat in atmospheres like that, and we thought, yeah, this is good, this is good. That felt brilliant.
No, I mean, I watched it. I felt, listen, that's moments in time, but I feel when you go to, I think there's no fight fans like British fight fans. There's no fight atmosphere like there is inside British rings. I've been to American fights. I've been around. I've seen the Madison Square Garden. I've been to Staples Center. Been to Mandalay Bay. Been to all those spaces. That would have had some extra energy because it was Mexican Independence Weekend, wasn't it? And a Mexican fighter was coming in there. But actually, I felt it was quite sterile. Now, that's maybe me being a bit anal about it. And, obviously we did that once upon a time with the Saudis and got ourselves in all kinds of trouble with Frank Warren having hysterics about it because it might have affected his pay packet. The fact of the matter is that I think two things. I thought the style of the quality of punditry besides Timothy Bradley and Teddy Atlas and Andre Ward was appalling. I thought Max Kellerman going into the ring and the first question that he wants to ask Terence Crawford is when you're going to retire. I mean, pack it in. How about living in a moment? How about what have we just witnessed? We've just witnessed one of the greatest achievements. Why has the question got to be, is this your last fight?
Yeah.
So I found all that irritating. And of course, at 5 o'clock in the morning, scratching my backside, listening to Netflix
of course,
help as well.
I'll pass that on to Netflix. You weren't happy with some of the questions.
Indeed, I was not.
There's something else, though, isn't it? When the best fight the best. And we see that. But I mean, Clint, I agree with Simon. I get the same kind of feeling at Bivol Beterbiev. It's absolutely for the boxing purists when they kind of cancel each other out.
That was a brutal fight, but I thought Crawford looked the better man, looked stronger, looked in control. Alvarez looked like
three weight classes.
He's at the end now.
Yeah. 3 weight classes. Crawford is a natural 147 fighter. Yeah. He's gone up 2 stone to fight. And imagine they both weighed in at 167.5. Canelo pumps right up afterwards and hydrates back up. He looked the much bigger fighter, not obviously in height and reach, but physically. But did a number on him, Crawford.
Did you watch it in your hotel bedroom on your phone in Spain?
I did.
All right, with the volume quite low.
No, I was in a 5-star hotel. I did what I pleased.
Oh, I see.
Paraded around with nothing on.
Oh, what a thought. Just in the passing, and this is the time I would wish to mention this, of course, talking about boxing and Crawford excelling over the weekend. But you get the opportunity to listen to Gareth A. Davis, Spencer Oliver and Paul Smith on a special edition of the talkSPORT Daily podcast as they pay their own tributes to one of Britain's greatest ever fighters, Ricky Hatton. And you can watch the podcast over the talkSPORT boxing YouTube channel, or you can listen now on your favourite podcast provider. We're at 12 noon.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Score a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 12:02, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. We're told Manchester United's board are still backing Ruben Amorim. He's now lost 16 from 31 Premier League games, but insists his system is not the problem. Following a 3-0 defeat at Man City, former defender Phil Bardsley says United's defending was so poor.
You start your foundations from being, solid and compact as a unit, and we look far from that at the minute. We look all over the place, and it's sad to see because it's getting extremely frustrating watching the team.
Man United have Chelsea at home, Brentford away, then Sunderland at home before the international break. Man City are back in action at home to Napoli in the Champions League. That's live on talkSPORT this Thursday night. Now, Conor McGregor has pulled out of the race to become President of Ireland before it's even started. But the former MMA fighter says this is not the end of his political journey. And Mayor of Manchester, Andy Burnham, says the city will work to see Ricky Hatton gets a proper send-off. He was found dead at home, aged 46. Police are not treating it as suspicious. Former boxer Paul Smith told White and Jordan fighters should be given access to therapy when they retire.
Just to unload and let a bit off your chest to someone who isn't going to judge you or answer back too much. Someone who's fully qualified to guide you the right way, who can spot the signs also of what may come later down the line.
In a statement, Ricky Hatton's family say he gave everything inside the ring and wore his heart on his sleeve outside of it. There's more on Hatton's considerable
talkSPORT News.
First sitting Tory MP has defected to Reform, saying the Conservative Party is over, and sentencing is expected for Constance Martin and Mark Gordon over the death of their newborn daughter. There's more from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Buy 2 or more Bridgestone Turanza all-season 6 tyres and claim Bridgestone's massive 20,000 mileage guarantee. Visit quickfit.com and book today. Conditions apply.
Cloudy and wet, the best of any sun across the south of England, windy across England and Wales, and an unsettled week ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. 5 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown, and we are live on talkSPORT. Before we go today, and I see quite a number of messages coming in from Arsenal fans, what did Martin think of the win, of course, at the weekend? He was working, he was on telly duty on Saturday lunchtime, the match against Nottingham Forest. We'll get to that and what they may or may not do over in Spain when they take on Athletic Bilbao, of course, in the Champions League. All that to come, because we've got a pretty packed final hour today, but we cannot talk today in fullness about events over the weekend without dwelling even momentarily on the events in Glasgow, because at the moment, Rangers in trouble. There's a new man in charge, and it's Russell Martin, and he cannot seem to get it right. 5 league games, 4 draws, 1 defeat. They are 10th in the table, having made their worst start to any league season in 47 long years. What on earth is going on? We were told that Hearts may well get in between the old firm this season. What with Tony Bloom's money going into the club, the Brighton man. Tony Bloom has invested in Hearts big time. Well, Hearts might go even better than that. They might even win the thing. Celtic will have different ideas, but at the moment, Rangers have lost their way. And they lost this one 2-0 at home to Hearts. And after the match, Russell Martin got into a bit of a to and fro with one of the journalists at the post-match conference. The journalist led off.
But do you agree with how badly the performance are, the levels? We don't look coached, Russell. It doesn't look good on the pitch. That's as bad as I've seen Rangers in all the time I've been watching them in that first 45. They are scared on the ball. There's no shape, there's no formation.
That's not tactics, mate. You've just said it yourself. They're scared. They're scared.
There's nothing there for them to grip onto at all.
If we were producing the tactics all the time that we work on in training, that's what I just said to you. We see a very different team in training to then the game. So,
but there's been no evidence of that at all in the league so far. There's 5 games, no wins. There's nothing there for you to back that up.
To back what up?
what you're saying about training and how they look, that's not materialising into the domestic form so far at all.
Yeah. The outcome, you only see the outcome of the end of the week. I've not been happy with the performance. I'm not sat here and said to you I'm really happy with the performance. I don't lie to you. I don't come out here and lie. I've not been happy with the level of performance. But also, it's my job to work out why, is not big tactical problems. The problems are the emotion, managing anxiety, are psychological. So we have to try and work that out, and we have to maybe simplify it even more.
Russell, the fans have made it quite clear that they would like you to resign and to go. It's overwhelming now from the support. No wins in 5, worst league start in many a year. The fans want you to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think many of them wanted me here in the first place. So,
will you resign?
No.
Sounded like that fella had very much a theme of hard questioning for Russell Martin to see where it would take him, and he certainly pushed it, did he not, the journalist in the news conference. It got so bad that Hearts fans chanted at Russell, "You're getting sacked in the morning," a chant that was then taken up by the home support. Martin, have you ever heard anything like that? Russell Martin, to be fair to him, went with the questioner. And the questioner, whoever it was, I don't recognise the voice, but didn't miss at a variety of different occasions in that to and fro. I mean, we spoke about Amarim. Is he up against it? My God, Russell Martin's up against it here.
Well, I mean, to be honest, the press conferences he was performing were his best performances. On the pitch, they've been atrocious, Jim. So, you know, what's coming his way is not really unexpected. It's the worst starts, I think, since the 70s. Can you believe? 10th in the table. Rangers, with the resources that they have, what he had available to him, it's going backwards. It's going backwards right now. So it's almost indefensible.
He's managing anxiety, he says.
Well, he's talking about fear, and players are scared, but you have to take fear away from the players. You don't create fear. You create.
Were you ever scared in your life as a player?
No. I mean, I would stand up against that. If there was a set of supporters that were working against me, I would be like, okay, well, I need to forget the fans for today. I need to go out there and put a performance in. You've got to stand up and be counted, but you need that from the manager. Jim, fear is the biggest problem in football right now, and it's down to the managers to take that away. So he's comparable. If he's creating fear, then he's not the right man for the job.
I mean, the fear that it seems to be engendered in the players at the moment, Simon, seems to be coming from the hostility directed from the home support.
Well, I don't suppose it's helpful. I mean, of course he's culpable for not being able to alleviate the pressures that the players feel that they're under. And he's right to say, I mean, I think he's remarkably tolerant in that interview, because I think he should be a bit more assertive with the journalists and talk about the journey that he's on and the direction of travel he understands that he's got to get to. He started okay against Panathinaikos and Victoria Pilsen, didn't he, Pilsen, and then came unstuck against Club Brugge, which, to be fair, I thought they would. Didn't help they got a player got sent off. And the fans are not having him. They're not having him. They got a player sent off, yeah. But this is an established Premier League, a Champions League side. This is a side that's been in the Champions League for 2 or 3 seasons now.
Yeah, but Simon, the last 8 games, the only win was against Alloa.
But with respect, Scottish teams can get hammered. You got Borussia Dortmund spanked the backsides of Celtic last year 7-1. So the fact of the matter is they've not given the guy a chance. Now, I don't know whether the style of football is good enough. We've had various people on here. We've had Bill Leckie on telling us that it's not good enough. I mean, I feel for him a little bit. I think that he was the architect of his own downfall last year. I hope that they stay with him, give him a bit more latitude, because I know it's your league. I know it's 5 games and you can't have one game that goes badly over there. But pack it in.
But hang on, can the 49ers resist fan sentiment?
Well, I hope... look, they employ...
They're 10th in the table range.
Well, I hope that they do, because it should not be fans that pick football managers. It should be those that are making decisions that are balanced upon all their views, that are looking at the bigger picture and understanding why they employed him in the first place, because there's no understanding of why they employed Russell Martin, because he said it himself. The fans didn't want me here in the first place. So they must have seen something in him, right? Unless he's a complete bluffer, unless he's a complete bait and switch merchant, they should have the strength of character to go, well, we saw this from him, right? And that we believe that if we would give him enough time and enough of a chance to get his head, we're going to get it right. Now, if he is a bait and switch merchant, they suddenly realise that he isn't what he said he was, like Frank de Boer was found out at Crystal Palace pretty early, then make the decision. But don't do it because a bunch of fans are deciding now that they're not having him. The moment that guy did, and it might be justified, because it might be in the long game he isn't good enough. But I don't think you can define that after 5 or 6 games. Can you really define it after 5 or 6 games? Can it really be that wrong? Because what did they appoint him for in the first place then? Can they be that clueless? These are not inexperienced operators. This isn't a new wet behind the ears football operation that doesn't understand football. They understand it. They've got a big football club in Leeds. They understand what it takes to employ a football manager. They understand what it takes to own a big football club. Rangers might be a big noise in Scotland, with due respect, but they're not a big noise anywhere else, with due respect to their fan base. They're not a big noise on the football field and haven't been for a long time.
Not that long ago, they were in a UEFA Cup final.
And that's fine, and that's a moment in
Europa
time.
League final.
But they didn't win it.
They're a giant. They're a giant.
They didn't win it in
Scottish
penalties.
They are.
Of course they are.
They are. So the point is that the ownership model is what my point in all of that was. The ownership model are not blind. They're not stupid. They're not some Johnny-come-lately football guy that's walked in the door, or some guy from a commercial background thinks he fancies owning a football club. They know their way around it. So they have to have had a reason. So they've got to stay with this guy unless the reasons that they had have been completely unwound.
Would you give him more time?
If I knew that what I was seeing behind the scenes was at some point going to change, and if I felt that he had to be given more latitude, to be given the opportunity, I would ignore the background noise. I wouldn't care how loud it got.
You'd ignore the background noise?
Because, unless I saw what they saw behind the scenes. Now, what he's saying is weak. Say what I see on a training field is not what you see on a Saturday. But you're in an outcome business, Russell. You're in an outcome business, so it doesn't matter what you see Monday to Friday. It matters what you see on Saturday. And when I saw the result on Sunday, and I saw them go 2-0, I thought, when I saw them go 2-0 down, I thought, oh, mate, I wouldn't like to be in that atmosphere.
It's going to get lively now. Chris is a Rangers fan who we haven't even asked for calls, and I want you to call in 03717 223344. Chris, you get ahead of the pack here. What do you want to say, Rangers fan?
I thought you'd want to hear from me, Jim. I thought you'd want to call early. So, yeah, I was actually backing Russell probably longer than most. I kind of thought we'd give him to the end of the window and then give him the international break where he's maybe got a bit more time with some of the players. Granted that some of our players were away, but he can maybe watch the games back, kind of readdress it. But the first half against Hearts was worse than every other performance so far.
So where does that take you then, Chris? Do you still back him?
No, I don't, Jim. I think you can tell in his interview, you can tell in his words, his tone. He looks lost. He looks lost himself. He doesn't want to go, clearly, because, he's a smart man. He probably wants to be paid up, and rightfully so. They've made a mistake. I think they've got to come out and get someone new. And I'll put you what Simon said. He said that we beat Panathinaikos, which is correct. But granted, Simon, I expect you watched the game. Panathinaikos should have won that game 9-2.
But it didn't.
Over 2 legs.
They didn't. If Russell Martin's not the answer, then, Chris, who is?
I'll tell you, Jim, what I will say is I'm not one for this Barry Ferguson coming back nonsense. He had an average of 2 goals against him a game. I quite like the guy Dutson at Bodo Glimt, small league, overachieves. I like his style of football. I don't know how achievable that is, but the Norwegian league kind of finishes at different times. He would be my choice.
If there's anything else you need, or any...
that's Martin's phone going off. Chris, ignore that. Chris, thanks so much for the call. I mean, there's talk about Steven Gerrard. Simon, would he go back? You and I were in studio the other day when Mark Van Bommel joined us and said, yeah, there was an indication that I should apply for the Rangers job, but it didn't get anywhere with that. I mean, Russell knows that Russell's on borrowed time.
Yes, of course he is, because you can't start the Scottish Premier League season the way he started it. And he may well deserve to get the boot. But I want them to fire him because they have not able to... They employed him, and they look at it and think we've made a mistake. I don't want them not to have any balls and say, well, we see something different. We've games or drawing games. But, I don't like this idea. I've never liked this idea of, and I respect football fans. I'm a football fan myself. I hate this idea of people being hounded out of a job instantaneously just because you didn't fancy him from the default. The moment someone comes in the door and you didn't fancy him, you're waiting for that opportunity to be able to go out.
Yeah. And you heard Russell say, they didn't fancy me. A large number of them didn't fancy me from the outset. So what chance have I got? But he's still there and he won't quit. Are the players good enough? Should Tavernier still be there? You look around the place, Gassama, Asgard, Mikey Moore, Miovski, one of the recent additions. Is he being helped? Has he got the right players at the football club? And this is Rangers. This is a giant in the game. And they really are, as is Celtic. What is the future under Russell Martin? And if he's not the answer, what and who exactly would represent the solution? Want to hear from you? 03717 223344. Send me a message, 81089. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Martin Keown, and we're talking Rangers and what's gone wrong under Russell Martin. North of the border, 5 league games, 4 draws, 1 defeat, the 10th in the table, having made the worst start to any league season in 47 years. And you look back over the years, yes, sure, Graham Souness had a wonderful time. Walter Smith, of course, Dick Advocaat, Alex McLeish. And then further down the line, more recently, Mark Warburton in there. Enjoyed a little bit of success. But since then, Kashinya has been in there. Steven Gerrard was there. They won a league title under Gerrard. Van Bronckhorst got them to a Europa League final, but they lost that. Michael Beale came and went. Philippe Clement. Barry Ferguson was in there on an interim basis. He left, and in came Russell Martin. And that's where they are at the moment. But if Russell Martin's not the answer, what and exactly who is? What's going to represent the solution in this situation to Rangers fan? Kev is a big Rangers fan who joins us live. Good afternoon. What do you want to say, Kev?
Well, how are you doing, Jim, Simon, Martin? Martin's got to go. Simple as that. He's got to go. Simon, I think some of your comments are a little bit off the mark. I mean, Russell Martin is a walking soundbite. You look back at his time at MK Dons, Southampton, Swansea. He's always blaming the players. He's always saying the same things. Anxiety, tension, this, that, next thing. Never him. Never his tactics that never work and never change. And it's shown at Rangers that we're a complete disaster right now, obviously by league form, the fact we've not won a league game yet. I mean, he's got to go.
But that's not true. That's not a fair characterisation, because I'm not his PR, but he didn't do that with his players when he dragged Southampton out of the Championship, which, by the way, is the level that Rangers are at. He didn't do that.
I agree.
He didn't do that at all. He actually dragged his players out of the Championship in a team that shouldn't have got promoted. And when he was in the Premier League, what he caught was a whole raft of observations from people like me and other people that talked about the manner in which he played. He didn't throw his players under the bus. He talked about he wasn't going to change his style and he wasn't prepared to do it. And that's where the criticism came for. So I think that's slightly unfair. He may not be good enough to be the Rangers manager. I don't disagree with your argument if that's the argument you're making. But to recharacterise what he did at Southampton and to recharacterise what he did at Southampton in the Premier League season is a bit unfair on him, I think.
Kev, is it right that Hearts fans chant, Russell Martin, you're getting sacked in the morning, and then the home support join in?
Well... Firstly, I'll address Simon's comments. I mean, to be fair, yeah, he did get me the Championship, but if you look back at history, there's been a lot of things dug up from old reports from various media sources where those things have been said. But Simon does make a good point. He did get him out of the Championship when he probably shouldn't have got out. So I'll hold my hand up. I'm wrong there. Yep, fair play. Tim, as for you, that's part and parcel of football. I've been on before. I'm a Rangers man, and as you may remember, I'm an Elgin City man as well because my local hometown club.
Yeah,
I've had my moments of singing things like that. Every football fan has. It's part and parcel of the banter. So it may not be right because when you boil it down to the sort of morality of it and the ethics of it, it is a man losing his job. But unfortunately, at times it's not right.
Oh no, true. So if he's not the answer, Kev, who is?
You know what? That's the problem I've got. I mean, as much as I want him out, I'm not totally against him.
You're Simon to help.
What do you think about? I mean, first and foremost, these owners that I said earlier on in the conversation, talking about these owners that are not fools. They already own a big club in Leeds, and so Leeds have got a lot of expectations. Their fans expect big things. They walk through the door. The first thing they said was, "We've got £20 million available," and I was like, "Well, that's fascinating. Not going to get much farther with that." But what do you think of them then? Because they're the ones that employed Russell Martin. They're not fools. They're not wet behind the ears. They know what a football manager sounds like and what one that talks the proper talk and will do the proper job. So what do you think of them now in terms of their appointment? Because they're not moving right now.
To be fair, I have got criticism against them because, as you may recall, because you're pretty well informed, as we all know, they came out previously and said the new manager will have nothing to do with Rangers, completely brand new to the club. Russell Martin played for us. So straight away, that was a red flag.
Contradiction, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, they did give us money, yep, but like you say, 20 million, given where we are financially, where Celtic are financially, take away the current gap or previous gap, which is clearly bigger despite the transfer movements or lack of at Celtic's point of view.
Yeah,
20 million isn't enough to bridge that gap.
And you leapt on that right away, Simon, when you heard that. Kev, listen, I want to thank you for the call. We're moving on. So many callers coming in. Dan's a big Rangers fan. Dan, Russell Martin, what do you think?
Jim, morning, Jim, Simon. The man's got to go. I think usually I agree with everything Simon says on this pretty much, but unfortunately this time can't agree. I think he's gone into that meeting, he's sold this board, this dream of this high press, attractive football that they seem to want to hear these days, and we've seen none of it. Our players just look completely confused. I mean, we went to St Mirren away and played with a false nine. Walter Smith, who's one of our greatest ever managers, won leagues by motivating good players to run through a brick wall for him. You don't need confusing tactics in Scotland. You've just got to get players to fight, to run. And at the end of the day, the better players will win the game in the end. Our players just look completely confused. I was up at 5 o'clock Saturday, got my son out of bed, up there, got back at 10 o'clock at night. And you're just thinking, what am I doing?
Where did you travel from?
Going from Derby, Jim. So travel up, season ticket holder, travel up, take my boy up majority of games, and I'm due back up to Dundee United. And if that man's still in charge, I don't know if I can face going, because
so who's the answer, Dan?
You see, who wants it? This is a problem now, Jim. We could go back to Barry, but he'd probably tell us to get stuffed. The man, for me, because we're not going to get your big names that people are talking about, is probably Robinson at St Mirren, someone like that, doing a good job, knows the league, and would take the job. You're not going to get your Mourinho's, you're not going to get these big names come in. The season's gone. We're 12 points behind Celtic already. We've got to win every Old Firm game remaining, and also hope that they drop points.
Well, Dan, before you leave us, you'll remember when he took Fenerbahce up there, and Mourinho made a point of saying how much he admired a club at the scale and the size and the history of Rangers. Would you entertain the thought of Mourinho?
Mourinho's a winner, but with that you obviously get the other side of Mourinho. I don't think Mourinho would even entertain it. Maybe in next season he would, with a fresh, clean slate. But who's going to come in at this point in the season when the league's finished, the league's over? We're not going to get anywhere near Celtic this season. So who's going to want it? Maybe Barry. Barry because of his love for the club. The right man was in the dugout at Ibrox on Saturday, and that was McInnes. You not remember this, but when Ancelotti's son was being talked about,
I
texted him and read it out, and I said, Derek McInnes, Ferguson, Gerrard, or Muscat. They're my four names. They know the club, they know the league, and the winners. I know Russell Martin played for Rangers, but he was there for a few months, and that's when we were poor. He's not a Rangers man. And it's not just his results, to be honest. It's the man himself. He's arrogant. His interviews, he talks down about the fans. He won't even wear a suit. Rangers managers, we've got traditions, that the manager is meant to uphold. Suit, tie, bros, look smart. He looks like he's just been dragged in off the street.
So there's Celtic and Hearts on 13 points, Rangers on 4. You say it's done?
Well, we've got to win the 3 remaining Old Firms, and hope that Celtic drop points to other teams. And then, we've got to literally win every game the rest of this season and hope that Celtic's, they slip up elsewhere. And I can't see it happening personally. The league's finished. But we need to get rid now. The board need to hold their hands up and say, look, we were sold a sales pitch by this bloke. I've seen him on Sky. He does come across well. We've been sold a pitch, but we're not seeing it.
Okay.
Sheffield United have done it. Is it the German team, Leverkusen? They've done it. Sorry, we made a mistake. Get gone. Get a new man until the end of the season or whatever, and start again.
Dan, thank you for the call. Thanks for all the callers coming in this lunchtime. Dan travels up and back from Derby, as he was saying.
No, I understand. I fully understand the ramifications of people wanting to travel and go to football matches, not feeling they're getting what they're paying for. But it's easy to fire the guy at Sheffield United because you've got a ready-made replacement. Ten Hag walked himself out the door by criticising the football club and talking about the buying policy of the football club and who was sold and who wasn't sold. So that's why he got drop-kicked into the next life. The fact of the matter is, who'd you replace him with? Barry Ferguson. Pack it in. Well, because he played for the club. Good luck. Go down that route. See how far it gets you.
I think that to go
turn
back,
a hero into a zero overnight.
To go back to Russell Martin, Simon, just like it says on the tin when you go to take the job at Rangers, you must be in the battle
Indeed.
to win the Scottish Premier League with Celtic right up almost to the very last day. We'll accept that but not where they are right now in the table. It's 10th. And you look at the body of
glorified pub league. Have you seen the standard of it? Your Old Firm derby last week was dreadful. It was worse than a League One game.
But also, if I look at the body of work Russell Martin had,
League Two.
It is questionable. It is questionable when you look at what he did. Yes, he got a promotion with Southampton, but it was short spells in every job he did. Swansea, Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
This looks like he's out of his depth.
Okay, Russell Martin, a man under pressure. We'll keep an eye on it. 12:30.
A man of the people who made boxing. Frank Warren's paid tribute to Ricky Hatton, whom he signed aged 18.
He made his debut at a place called Wythenshawe, and I remember he sold 3 tickets for the show, and this is the man who took 30,000 people to when he went and fought Floyd Mayweather in Vegas.
Hatton was found dead at his home, aged 46. Police aren't treating it as suspicious. Pep Guardiola's thanked Man United fans for their part in the tributes ahead of the Manchester derby at the Etihad. City cruised to a 3-0 win. Former defender Phil Barty told talkSPORT Breakfast defending was poor for all 3 goals.
You start your foundations from being, solid and compact as a unit, and we look far from that at the minute. We look all over the place, and it's it's sad to see because it's getting extremely frustrating watching the team.
Ruben Amorim insists his system is not the problem. He's got just 8 wins from 31 Premier League games. Man City are back in action at home to Napoli live on talkSPORT this Thursday as the Champions League returns. In the Championship, we expect Chris Wilder to be confirmed as the new Sheffield United boss today. Ruben Sellers was sacked after losing his first 6 games in charge. And Brendan McCullum's hinted that England vice-captaincy could be given to Harry Brook ahead of the Ashes. The comments increased speculation Jacob Bethell could take Ollie Pope's spot at number 3. More Ashes build-up on talkSPORT's cricket YouTube channel.
EV Lover on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark Charge. Ultra-rapid EV charging at an ultra-low price. Find out more at arnoldclark.com.
Now then, thanks to Arnold Clark Charge, we've got an electrifying cash prize to give away today. We've also got a place in our grand final in Glasgow next month up for grabs, where one lucky winner will win a new MG S5 electric car. How about that? Joining us now, randomly selected from the many online entries, and I can tell you there were many of them, is Manchester City fan Adrian. Adrian, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
Not at all. How are you feeling about this?
Very good. Very good.
I'm delighted about that. You could win a few quid here, Adrian, and also end up winning this MGS5 electric car. So this is how it works. Simon and Martin will listen on as you take on 60 seconds on the clock to answer as many questions about sporting speed and power as you can. For each correct answer, you'll earn yourself a point and £100. You're allowed to pass if you don't know the answer, and that's probably the way to do it in the essence of speed here. But we can only accept your first response, Adrian. If you're our top point scorer come the end of the week, along with the cash, you'll also win a place in the grand final in Glasgow next month, where you could end up winning the new MGS5 electric car. So you with me?
Yes, perfect.
Adrian, I like that. That is good. So we're going to hit the timer in a second. 60 seconds. Adrian, are you ready?
I am ready as I will be.
Okay, Becky, let's hit the timer now. Who holds the Olympic record for the fastest men's 100-metre sprint?
Usain Bolt.
Correct. Which Brazilian left back hit an iconic, powerful free kick with the outside of his foot from 30
Roberto Carlos.
Correct. The Marina Bay Street Circuit is famous for hosting F1's first ever night race. Which island country is that circuit in?
Pass.
It was Singapore. Western Force, a rugby team based in which country?
Australia.
Correct. Daniel Dubois couldn't match Alexander Usyk's speed and power in their bout in July earlier this year. Which stadium hosted the fight?
Pass.
Was Wembley. Which powerful centre-back captained Liverpool when they won the Champions League in 2019? He was awarded man of the match after
Virgil
the fight.
van Dijk.
Correct. Rugby League legend Kevin Sinfield is Super League's all-time top point scorer, playing his whole career with which club?
Leeds.
Leeds Rhinos, I think we can take it. Which tennis icon, famous for his speed and technique on court, holds the record for the longest-running world #1 ranking?
Djokovic.
Correct. That's it, and that is it. I know, well done. Pretty pressurising. So you got 6 correct answers, and that means, Adrian, you've won 600 quid. Which is pretty good going. Well done to you. Simon, you were keeping pace with that.
I did 5.
Oh, you did 5. Good. Well,
what did you do, Keir?
3. Are we on countdown here?
With all due respect, we're not interested in either of you. Now, £600. I know you love taking part in this. 600 quid in, you've done well. If that's the highest score, if 6 is the highest score come the end of the week, you will win a place at our grand final in Glasgow next month, where you could win the new MGS5 electric car. That's good, isn't it?
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it. In with a shout, maybe.
I think you are in with a shout, Adrian, to be honest. So you've got 6 right, and you've knocked up 600 quid for yourself. So well done with that. Thanks, Adrian.
Thank you.
You should read the questions fast.
No passes as
Give
well.
them more opportunities.
Thank you very much. Now, if you'd like to win some cash and you think you can beat Adrian's score of 6 in tomorrow's show, enter now at talksport.com/win. I'm watching you. Stop trying to put me off. We'll also be playing next week in Hawksby and Jacobs and in Drive the week after that for even more chances to win. And it's all thanks to Arnold Clark Charge. Ultra-rapid EV charging at just 55 pence per kilowatt hour. Find out more at arnoldclark.com.
EV Lover on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark Charge for your chance to win a new MGS5. Enter online now at talksport.com/win.
We've talked about Manchester United having their problems, Rangers having their problems, to a lesser, or is it to a lesser extent, Martin? Aston Villa, one of your former clubs. Aston Villa 19th winless and goalless this season. Of England's 92 clubs, they're the only ones still to score a goal. They've 1 point, their worst total after 4 matches since 97-98. Why are they a shadow of their former selves, Martin? What's going on there?
The producer mentioned it to me quite late last night. So what I did was I watched the whole of the game, Villa versus Everton, to have a really good look.
That's commitment.
I just, out of interest, really, I want to see what is happening with Villa. And I think
well done, mate.
It's interesting in terms of the Champions League, not making the Champions League, their failure to make the Champions League, and the financial hit that's had. And you start to look at the players that they only lost Ramsey this time around, but they lost Duran. Obviously, Diaby and Louise went at the start of that season. So that has impacted them, to be honest. I'm looking at Bailey going on loan.
Yeah.
What they don't have, Jim, they don't have that power in the final third. They don't have that pace. They're not Buendia coming to feet now, playing in a wide position. They don't seem to have that pace to get around Watkins. They do need to have, the manager said they need to help Ollie Watkins. They've got a lot of injuries in the midfield area. Kamara, Onana, Barkley, all out. So
did they back the wrong striker in January, Martin? Watkins over Duran?
No, I don't think they did. I think maybe, look, Duran seemed hell-bent on wanting to go, and there was a financial issue, but you thought maybe that had softened it. And then this summer, it would have been easier. They'd been padded out their situation. But when they didn't make the Champions League, and we're just talking here about the revenues that Liverpool get, something like 65 million a season.
Just to turn up, yeah.
Yeah, just to turn up. And I think that's really impacted Villa. So I do feel, but the press that Everton, I mean, we have to say Everton, their turnaround in the summer has been quite remarkable with Grealish coming in there. And they pressed really well. If Beto could have found his scoring boots, then they would have been clear winners in that one. But no, I thought Villa didn't do. It's not a bad point to go to Everton, but when you see where they are at the top of it is alarming. But they have to improve in the final third. That's where the issue are.
Villa's problems, is it really PSR's fault, Simon?
Not really, no. I mean, the games that they played this season, you'd expect better outcomes, but Palace have got their number, and have done it to them repeatedly now. And have done it to them all last season, done it to them in an FA Cup semi-final, and have now done it to them in the league. Everton are no mean. I mean, despite the fact that people are pointing to the fact that I suggested that there might be some jeopardy around the Jack Grealish transfer, Everton are not an easy side to play against. So the fact they drew 0-0 there, it's not a bad result, but it's the goals. And some of these players have got to step up and do a little bit better, because you look at the players they've got on the field. There's plenty enough quality in that Aston Villa side, whether it's power that Martin alludes to that's not helping them. But they're not playing against the most powerful sides, and there should be a better outcome. Unai Emery, the one thing you've got in your dugout is Emery will sort it out. However, whatever level Aston Villa get to this season, it won't be a level that causes a downward concern. It might not be an upward movement. They might not be able to get back into the Champions League, or might not be able to be as prevalent in the league as they've been previously. But the PSR situation, of course it's impacted upon them. They've sold players. They've spent £30 million on a centre-forward from Nice or from wherever they bought him from. And that's their only spend. And so the fact that Duran went, I mean, what kid at 22, 23 years of age wants to go play football in Saudi Arabia? There's got to be something fundamentally wrong there. You should be playing for a big club and playing in the best kind of football, not going to the place that people go to when they get into the back end of their career and they want to get paid.
We're not seeing a lot, though, of these new signs. I think Gesson was the winger that...
by being the best player to be picked.
I mean, they kept Emiliano Martinez.
Yeah.
So they've got him in goal.
Well,
People have been there a while. Matty Cash, Konsa, McGinn, Rogers, Tillemans, Buendia, Watkins. They're good players. They should be doing better, surely.
Yes. Yeah, but when you keep taking... I mean, I thought Asensio was a really good player. If they'd have made it to the Champions League, they might have been able to get him over the line. People will say Rashford didn't really do enough. I thought actually he did, in that PSG game. When they look back, they actually beat PSG. That's the height that they'd reached. They've not really got back to that. And I feel that centre midfield, Onana, Kamara, they're good players. They're not available, Jim. So I do feel this will steady down. It will settle down for them. But it is a worry. It is a worry that they're not able to create enough. They rely on their fullbacks to create their width. And you've got to, credit to Everton, because they press really, really high. It's an intelligent press. When they went long, they got a little bit of joy. But to Ollie Watkins is surviving on scraps right now, Jim. No one really in and around him. He needs better players around him.
They'll be fine. The problem for Villa fans is, why should they have to be fine? Why shouldn't they be allowed to kick on?
Yeah.
And that's the challenge.
They've got the muscle power, but they've got to stay with the constraints.
Correct. And that's the unfairness of PSR, because Villa should now be in a position where they can kick on if they want to. But the governance of the game is now only allowing...
inhibiting them.
And I believe they're paying really high wages there, Simon, so they're having to sell players to balance it.
Emery will get it right.
Emery will get it better.
They're off to Sunderland next weekend, so they could do with a win and maybe they'll get it there. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown, and we're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. Yep, this is your chance to win £25,000 and tickets to see Oasis at Wembley on Saturday, September 27th. This Friday, we're calling 2 lucky listeners on air who will go head-to-head for the cash. Both will score the tickets, but only one will walk away with the 25 grand. Listen up, here's how you can enter.
18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word Oasis to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission. Or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by the 19th of September at 9 a.m. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
Now, live on talkSPORT 2 tomorrow night, it's Champions League action. Arsenal travel to the Basque Country. It's Athletic Bilbao against Arsenal. And of course, way back at 10 o'clock, Martin was talking about being back at Arsenal on Saturday and watched his former club win comfortably against Nottingham Forest. Martin, we thought we'd finish today with Arsenal and where you think they might be going. Mosquera came in for Saliba. Eze made his Premier League debut. Gyökeres scored again. Madueke shone. In the absence of Saka, I mean, is this the depth that we've been looking for with Arsenal?
Yes, they did shine, Jim. But my expectation when, I was at the game, great day as it was, and I thought, well,
I saw you.
I'm coming in, and if Arsenal lose this game, God, it'll be the first topic. But because they win, obviously, we got 30 seconds at the end of the show to shoehorn it in.
You've done well up until now. Come on.
No, so... do you know, I thought it was a massive show of strength from an Arsenal point of view of all these new signings and how well they've done instantly. And I just wanted to sort of map out the number of players that Arsenal... We got so used to seeing the same 11 every week for Arsenal. The front three completely different. Eze was outstanding. He's a game changer. That first-time cross for the second goal. Gyökeres in the box, the Predator. Madueke performing brilliantly, Jim. Saka now has real competition for places, but it was the Spanish midfield. We talked, didn't we, about the England team? Why can't they beat somebody 6-0? Well,
yeah,
Spain did that with 2 Arsenal players playing in centre midfield, so that's really strong. Marino, Waneri coming on after 2 or 3 minutes to replace Ødegaard. So and Zupimendi, what a performance! So they really did look good.
I mean, if Saka, Saliba, and Ødegaard had been injured last season, this would be a crisis.
Exactly, and that was the most pleasing. You don't want to see those players injured, that's for sure. But what was really pleasing was how well they did. And Mosquera at the back, the young lad, really good athlete, positioned well. I think they paid 15 million for him, so that looks a fantastic find. Miles Skelly not playing.
Used to wear that song.
Calafiori playing left back, didn't start the season last year. So I make that 8 players.
Yeah,
that were not regulars or even at the club last season. So that's really good progress because that's a show of strength, and they're going to need that squad.
Doing a serious analysis, and you're talking about Mosquera.
Sorry about that.
He's planned this all day.
I planned it all day, yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as Arsenal finished, I planned it. But I knew we would come to it with 10 seconds to go.
What people must realise is Martin has planned this. You want to see the notes that he has prepared for the Arsenal piece, which is amazing. Before we go, though, I remember last season, and there was talk of Madueke to Arsenal. And we were thinking, I wonder how that will go down. 5,000 people, 5,000 fans signed a no to Madueke petition. 5,000 of them signed it. Where are they now?
Well, I mean, I actually said to the player after the game that I was concerned a little bit in terms of how collective was he going to be. There was, when he was at Chelsea, you thought at times he didn't make the right call, make the decision, maybe a little bit selfish and needed to be more collective, but you cannot criticise him the way that he's played at Arsenal. The selection of his passes, the shooting, the assists he's getting, he's doing it every game now. He's doing it for England, he's doing it for Arsenal. So I think it's been, a real tonic for Arsenal.
Coaching for Arteta, I suspect.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's picking up that message. And that's the 2 players were walking off the pitch, actually, Eze, Madueke, really looking forward, chatting excitedly about the next game. And that's what I love to hear, really, because I don't want to know what's just happened. I want to know what you're looking forward to next. And that's the Champions League game on Tuesday.
Will they win in Bilbao?
It's a game they can definitely win, but you respect everybody in the Champions League every game. Start of last season, they went to Atletico. Atalanta, and that was a tricky tie for them. So as long as they come away with something, you'd be happy.
And has Eze made a starting spot his own now? Should he be starting automatically almost?
Do you know, you could just see the players when he gets the ball, the reaction around him, people really looking for the ball. They know that first time pass was a little bit special. You do sometimes think the Arsenal wingers, is it coming in, isn't it coming in, bang, just puts it in for left foot. total confidence, and it's slotted away. Feed the striker, and he'll score goals.
Isn't this great to have this Martin Keown in studio? Isn't it? We're no longer just happy to leave the studio bodily intact.
We just had to wait, 3 hours for it. But anyway.
Wonderful. And can I say it's been a joy.
Safe journey.
As for you, I'll see you tomorrow.
You will.
At 10, Mr. Jordan. We're coming up to 1 o'clock this Monday lunchtime.